here for episode 147.
Yes, 147. And 2, we'll have 149.
And you know what? I think this is the episode right before Thanksgiving.
Pass
The
cranberry
sauce.
We're
having
mashed
potatoes.
Ooh,
The
turkey
looks
great.
Thank
you
for
loving
me.
Thank
You
for
being
there.
Everyone's
Thanking
the
whole
world.
Thanking
You
for
thanking
us
for
thanking
you.
Kill the turkey. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
All right, that's the end of our show. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Buy a Casper mattress or something.
Promo code drink.
No, we are very excited for Thanksgiving. It feels kind of far away because we're recording this in advance, but I do have my Christine's special sweaters out. The thrift store.
Sweater season is here, guys.
Thrift store holiday sweater. Don't have to wear a bra on this one. It's always a good sweater. And it's all sorts of patterns. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. I got it at a thrift store, and I wear it every day of the fall and winter. So
it's true. The second I came in today and you were wearing it, I was like, wow, this brings me back a whole year.
I met with my friend this morning, and she, I have not seen her in probably a year. And she's like, oh, you're wearing your favorite sweater. I was like, oh my God, I clearly never take it off. So you're going to be seeing a lot of this if you're on our YouTube. I apologize.
I'm actually doing a throwback today, wearing my Price is Right hat.
I do love that. I meant to point that out.
For those of you who don't know, The Price is Right is the first show I worked on when I moved to LA.
Precious.
I was an intern. My job was to spin the wheel and make sure that it was spinning right.
Oh, I was like, on TV? And then I was like, wait, no, that's the contestant.
Backstage.
Oh my gosh.
That was it. I actually don't know if that was my job. That was what they just told me to do to keep me busy. Just keep spinning the wheel.
Someone just told me Zach Baggins was on Wheel of Fortune.
Yes, they are different shows.
What did you say?
Price is Right.
Oh, sorry. You said spin the wheel, and I was like, wait a second. Yeah, that's
the
Vanna
big
White.
wheel.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
My bad. However, Jesse Pinkman was on Price is Right. And
Interesting.
He won. He beat the system.
Oh, that's nice.
The actor.
I see.
Whatever his name is.
Remember that time my mom dragged us to Let's Make a Deal?
Do I? Mm-hmm. I was half naked because I thought I was supposed to dress in costume.
Yeah, my mom made a lot of requests that morning before she met you. Anyway.
Nice to meet you, Linda.
Hello, welcome to our Thanksgiving episode, I guess.
So special. I'm so thankful.
Or pre-Thanksgiving, I guess we should say.
That's true.
We're still thin by the end of the week.
Right.
I can't promise anything.
This is what this big sweater's for.
Practice.
Gonna fill it out. Also, you guys are probably gearing up to go see family and friends, and we want to wish you luck because I know it can be hard to reconnect with people that you don't see very often, and sometimes tensions can rise, and trust me, we all understand. So
if you're anything like me and you're from any version of a broken home, maybe you have found an extended family to run away to every Thanksgiving, which is what I do. I don't know if you're new here, but if you are, I go to Seattle every Thanksgiving because it's just so much easier than only going home for a short amount of time and having to fit in like 3 different families.
Yeah, I made that mistake this year. I've been in LA every year for Thanksgiving since I moved here until this year. I've just finally been like, oh, come on, see my mom. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, well, this cousin, like, don't you want to see me too? And don't you want to see this cousin? And they haven't seen you in 2 years.
It's kind of like a compliment in that so many people want to see you, but also it's the exact opposite of the definition of relaxing.
And it's not like an enjoyable, like complimentary experience when you actually have
You're
it.
just scheduling and trying to cram in all this time with people. I mean, I'm making holidays sound really awful right now.
I know, we're big complainers.
I mean, hello.
But also, I want to say, too, like, I know a lot of people don't have family to visit, and it's hard, and it's lonely sometimes.
I hope everyone's at least having a wonderful Friendsgiving.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing over the past few years, and that's always really fun, too. Or if you just want to stay home with your cat, I mean...
Have a Catsgiving.
That might be even actually, maybe I'll cancel my plans and just do that.
You're the most grateful, I'd imagine, of anyone.
Out. Yeah. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving to everybody who celebrates it. Hope you can find some happiness, at least a diversion in this episode from everything else, if you will. I know we probably yelled this at you, but a reminder, patrons get early access on Cyber Monday. If you skipped forward through that, patrons get early access to tickets, and we'll give you that code.
December 2nd.
That's right, Cyber Monday. So patreon.com/ATWWD podcast. And we're giving you a secret code that we invented.
We did invent it. It's probably not surprising once you hear it.
You're going to hear the new name of the tour. We're getting very excited.
Yes.
There's some concept art being thrown around.
We do.
This is like the real deal. We're trying
really hard to make this like the first one. Not that our first one wasn't like very important to us.
Special and awesome.
But, like, we figured out a lot of things that we want to do differently.
We had a running list. Like, Eva, add this one to the list. We should do this next time and not that, or vice versa.
We're trying to make this, like, our second try. And then 2021 tour hopefully is just going to be, like, perfect because we've all the kinks will be out.
Oh, my God. It'll be just I don't even know how you're going to handle it.
You're going to have your mind blown, I tell you what.
So keep an eye out for that. And also on our social media, we'll post like when the regular presale goes up, and then just like when general admission regular tickets go up. So keep an eye out for that secret code. And for tour dates, we obviously haven't said the cities yet. So hopefully we're coming near you. We're going to some repeats and some new places. So
yes,
we'll find out.
Yep.
I brought my list.
Okay. Your list of?
My list. TM.
Of grievances?
Oh, yeah, I have. Oh, that's in my
pocket. I know
pocket.
You've got one of those. That's not a weird question to
that's
ask.
too long to fit into. My computer doesn't hold that much storage. No, my list, my top 10.
Wow, it took you months and months, but let's hear it.
Here's the thing. The last 3 episodes, we've had so much to talk about that I'm like, we don't need this in the beginning. People are already mad that we've talked so much.
So
I've been refining it.
Back in like September, I came up with a list of my, at the moment, top 10 celebrity crushes. Although the last 4 of them kind of interchange in importance, and also there's others that I didn't list that also end up on there. Today, my one of my crushes is Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, fun!
Very different than like my usual list, in that like I like someone who can like give a good smolder. I don't know if Melissa McCarthy gives a good smolder.
I feel like she probably could though,
but she's got like there's something about the domineering personality I'm really into. I think.
Yeah, and I feel like a domineering and a smolder is like goes hand in hand.
And she can rock a good red lipstick, which was one of my things that I need.
That is a big plus.
Anyway,
and funny people. I'm always attracted to funny people. It's like, it's like just one of those things.
Today, mine are her, Brie Larson, and Laverne Cox. So
okay, all
just
right.
to give you an update on my top 3 instead of giving you my top 10.
Well, I didn't realize this was about your list, so I guess
let's hear it. What's Christine's list? Let's go.
I suppose.
Sorry, I'm just steamrolling you.
Yeah. Well, what else is new? Sorry, Empire, if I offended you. Okay, so I feel like really nervous about sharing this.
And I think you kind of should because because I'm very open about like who I have crushes on. I never hear you talk about this
because
stuff.
I'm like so weird about it. I don't know.
I know people you have crushes on, but then the second I ever like kind of poke fun at you, you get like actually offended. It's very weird.
I know, because like I have problems where I get like really, and I don't know. It's so bad. I'm sorry. I'm such a dork.
I'm ready to make fun of you on camera.
Such a sheltered like Catholic German child full of guilt.
Can I guess people, or will I not
yes,
guess
actually,
them?
yeah, guess. I mean, I don't know how many you'll guess, but
well, I know 2 that you really like that I don't understand.
Who?
Anthony.
Well, yeah, he's on there. Okay, this is one of the things that's going to be revealed about me.
Oh, can I say it?
Yeah.
Christine Blaze aside.
Not only, but like heavily.
Christine can't help herself.
It's
but like
bad.
Even before she knows this information about someone.
When they're not even out. Okay.
Yeah, she's only pretty much ever falls for gay men.
And it's not like a joke, like, haha. It's truly my 2 playground husbands and then my first boyfriend in elementary school, all 3 are gay. And I went to like private Catholic school. Like that was not a thing that was allowed.
It's like if gaydar were a thing.
Yeah.
Christine has it, and it's if she's in love with someone, they're probably gay.
It's actually a thing that I've learned. I went to American University, which is I think considered the most LGBT friendly campus in the country or some shit. I don't know. And I remember like my first week there, I was just like, wow, all the guys are so hot. And then I was like, oh wait, 4% of the male population here is straight, so I'm in trouble. So I dated someone at Georgetown instead. But but like there's just this instant, like if I am like really attracted to someone, I'm just like, oh well, yeah, they're probably gay.
They're probably gay. It's just statistically it's remarkable.
Yeah, there's a list somewhere that's very long that Renee made for me like back in high school because she was like, this is troubling. Like your celebrity crushes.
That's why Renee sticks with Shrek, because he's the straightest man alive.
Grotesque. So Anthony's on there. Okay, I just think he's like probably the most attractive human.
I have a straight person that you like.
Who?
In my mind. Neve.
Fuck, I forgot about Neve. Yeah, I do have a crush on Neve, but then he got kind of weird. Like, I think he did some shady shit, so. But I did have, you're right, I had a crush on Neve from Catfish.
I remember just being like, you just like gay and or hairy men.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, obviously I don't get it.
I mean, obviously, so I'll just give you the rest of the people on here that are gay. Anderson Cooper, My first crush ever, and when I say first crush, like celebrity crush, I mean like the first person where I was like so smitten that I like didn't think I could live without, you know what I mean? Like you like fall in love with a celebrity or actor or whatever, and you're like, I'm just so like Renee's was normal. It was like Justin Timberlake. Mine was Jonathan Rhys-Meyers because he was in that Bend It Like Beckham. He's so...
I thought you were going to say Jonathan Taylor Thomas. That would have made sense.
No, I'm not even a little bit attracted to him.
Because he's straight and hairless.
Yeah. And blonde. Listen. So Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, like just... and then one time Renee sent me a picture. She's like, here's another one. And it was like Out Magazine. And he was on the cover. And I was like, motherfucker. So let's see. The other ones I don't think are gay. I don't think are gay. Who knows? The first one's Jon Hamm. He's like probably the straightest person I have a crush on.
Okay.
I think he's just very attractive. Woof. Okay, Jon Hamm. Shamar Moore from Criminal Minds. Okay. You know, those eyes. Okay. God.
Puppy dog eyes.
I do think Sam Hunt is really hot. The country
the guy
singer.
that talks / raps.
Does he? Blaze hates that song and I love it. Oh,
and when I worked at ISS, everyone would be like, the talk rapper. The
talk like, country. Or,
like, are you singing or rapping? No one knows.
No, he just talks. But I love it. I just think he
doesn't sing, he talks with rhythm.
But look at him with a white t-shirt and you'll understand.
I will, you're right.
Now this is an interesting one. Natalie Dormer.
Interesting.
Game of Thrones. I watched that and I went, oh dear.
She's beautiful.
I've fallen.
She is beautiful.
I've fallen. Then Mark Ruffalo.
Interesting. I have my Hulk shorts on. Are they doing anything for you?
Oh, there it is.
By the way, my Hulk shorts are literally just purple shorts.
Is that what that is? Okay. I was like, I didn't get the reference, but sure.
He wears purple shorts.
Got it. Mark Ruffalo. Cara Delevingne. I don't even know how to say her name.
Cara Delevingne.
Cara Delevingne.
RJ's in love with her, so I hear about her often.
My stomach like turns. The eyebrows. Okay. Andre Holland is a new one. I've been watching Castle Rock. He was in Moonlight. He is just so attractive. What the hell?
Yeah.
It's like overwhelming to me.
You know, I appreciate that you're throwing women on your list too, because everyone's a little interested, I think.
Well, I am, and it's kind of one of those things that I've never really thought about, but I was like, oh, who are like my crushes? And I like listed out several women, and I was like, I never like thought. I don't know. I don't ever like.
I think that's me with Paul Rudd. To be fair, like I get
sure.
I also get butterflies when Paul Rudd shows up.
Paul Rudd is across the board.
I think regardless of who you are, everyone's got a crush on Paul.
But
Rudd.
there are like a couple women where I'm like, oh, like I mean, I don't know. I had a crush on my TA in college, and she was a lady. Oh, I don't listen. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm not putting myself in any boxes. Listen.
Does this look like the show where we put ourselves in boxes?
Everyone just is like, oh, Christine. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's keep going. If there were like an orientation where you just really are attracted to gay people that will never like you back,
but also me. Like a sprinkling of women.
But
somehow.
Also maybe I lean that way a little bit too.
But also I'm straight, but Natalie Dormer, but also gay men.
Right. Natalie Dormer. I mean, she might be like okay, doesn't matter. I'm not gonna go there. But Jesus, she is so. Okay, so.
I can't sit here and pretend like if Chris Evans like made a move, I would go.
Right.
I would go.
Right.
Stop. You know. I'd be like, okay, whatever. Let's test this out.
And then obviously Emma Watson.
Well, hello.
Which obviously I think was on both of our lists.
She's on my list.
Which is interesting because when I made this list, I was like, oh, it's just going to be 10 dudes.
Right.
It was pretty split evenly. I was very surprised. And then, of course, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, Anderson Cooper, Anthony. But like as for straight men, Jon Hamm, Shamar Moore, Andre Holland, and Sam Hunt.
So 4 out of 10.
And Mark Ruffalo.
5 out of 10. Okay.
Actually, there were 11 because you did 11, so.
Sure. So 50% success rate.
There were more females than I expected on there, and I was like...
Are you learning something about yourself?
I think maybe we're all learning something about me together. Don't want to like make any broad stroke statements, but I really looked at this list for the last 4 weeks. Every time I kind of updated, and I was like, well, nothing's changed. so I don't know. Okay, anyway, let's just go on to the show.
I appreciate that you're open-minded to...
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe a lifestyle change if you and Blaze don't work out.
I mean, honestly, I'm like, I've never outright said anything otherwise.
Have you ever outright felt anything otherwise?
Well, yeah.
People have assumed.
Well, people assume like, oh, well, you're just married to a dude, so that's that.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I feel like...
Yeah.
Which is a fair assessment.
We've all questioned.
But all I'm saying is maybe there's, I think There's a spectrum.
Maybe there's a new chapter in Christine's life that we haven't opened yet.
I haven't. Listen. I'm exploring a little bit. Let's put it that way.
Apparently, and you picked the right time as a married person.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? Yeah, but I mean, I think Natalie Dormer is like up on the top out of all the ladies. But Andre Holland is getting up there with Jon Hamm.
Natalie Dormer. I want to look at a better picture of her. Okay, Christine's breath is being taken away in front of my eyes.
Like, I watched Game of Thrones with her in it, and I went like, everything I thought about myself has just been like upended.
I mean, she's got the jawline. She's got the smolder.
Smokes.
I can agree.
Look at the ones where she doesn't have a shirt on.
Christine.
No, she takes her top off.
Are you coming out of the closet? I'm really confused. Guys, I don't think there's
always assumed like, oh, well, I'm attracted to like a lot of people. I didn't know that like that was like I had to, make a statement about it. I mean, like, look at now
we'll talk about this later.
We're like, okay, we'll talk about it later. Well, I did tell you I was nervous about this, so.
Okay, well, you know what? I didn't know it was going to be this way.
I was more nervous about Anderson Cooper, but I guess
I mean, yeah, she's a very naked and very beautiful woman despite her nudity, but okay, moving on.
Okay.
In that breaking news.
Thank God Blaze is not listening
about Christine's sexuality.
Yeah, well, so we'll see.
We'll see where things go. Natalie Dormer, are you listening?
Oh my, don't even start with that. I think she's like actually very much a crush of mine.
All right, good to know.
Clearly, I guess we've all learned that by now.
You know who I had and this is a dude that I'm pretty sure I had a legitimate crush on when I was younger. Which, by the way, is not like a regular thing in my life.
Right. I've never heard you say those words, so this is interesting.
No, I really liked Tom Welling. From Smallville.
Yeah, you know what?
I thought he was just a beautiful man.
I was never into him, which is weird because I usually am very into like very
beautiful men. I'm a sucker for light eyes and dark hair. Also women, but apparently
also boobs.
I guess he's my Natalie Dormer. Where it's like, I don't think I would say no if there was that option.
Oh, I don't have anything. Well, okay. Let's change the subject. I'm sorry. We changed the subject. Okay, let's go on.
I'm
so sweaty. Okay.
You realize literally everyone will be very happy to hear that information. By the way, the Christine or whatever we're calling it, now everyone thinks that they definitely have a chance with you.
The Christine Chapel, but now I'm not allowed in because like this isn't okay.
And this isn't godly for sure.
It's not godly, it's not Catholic.
The chapel's gonna...
Listen, I grew up in like the most insane Catholic school where I never thought gay people were a thing. I mean, not that I didn't think they were, but I was like, oh, no one in my class is gay. And then after everyone graduated, all of a sudden, all these people were gay. And I was like, oh, wait, you just weren't allowed to say it.
Yeah,
like,
that
I was
happened
so fucking sheltered.
That was for me, too. I was like, there was literally not a single gay person at my school. And then when I got to college, I like found everyone on Facebook and I was like, where are the straight people? Wait a minute.
Like, why are they holding hands?
Is everybody a gay person now?
Yeah, so I think that I got a little... mixed. My wires were all sorts of all over the place growing up, and I think I just never think about it. Like you said, I never talk about it. So I think I finally
about men, to be fair. Like, no, I don't. You never talk about it.
I had some weeks to really think about it.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Ruminate. Okay, let's... Everyone's queer God. A little bit, even if it's 0.1%.
That gay ghost that's after you is going to smack you.
If you don't think you are, go look at Natalie Dormer and or Tom Welling and see if your mind's been changed.
Maybe not. Maybe it's just us. I don't know.
Okay, so here's the thing.
What?
I'm going to tell you my story.
Okay, you said here's the thing, and then I saw you open Twitter, and I got nervous.
I am opening Twitter.
I thought you live streamed this.
Can you imagine?
No!
Oh, I love your boobs, Christine.
I know, everyone does. Actually, that's not true, but I do, especially since I started wearing Third Love bras because finally I can feel comfortable in a bra. I don't have to worry about scratching, itching, etc. My bras have their own drawer now. It's very special to me.
And Third Love gives you the perfect fit. Third Love uses data points generated by millions of people who have taken their Fit Finder quiz to design bras with breast shape and size in mind for a perfect fit and premium feel.
They also offer more than 80 sizes, including their signature half cup sizes. So if you feel like you haven't found a bra that fits right yet, maybe Third Love will help that.
And you can find your fit with Third Love's online fit finder. You can order and try on at home with no more awkward fitting room experiences.
I hate when that happens. So the Fit Finder quiz is super fun. Over 14 million people have taken the quiz. It's actually super fun. You can learn more about your boobs. Who knows?
Hey!
They also offer a perfect fit promise, which means every customer has 60 days to wear it, wash it, and put it to the test. And guess what? If you don't really love it, you can return it and Third Love will wash it and donate it to a woman in need.
So there's really no reason to not use Third Love.
I've told you once, I'll tell you again. It's a good idea.
If you are a bra wearer, Third Love is the place to be.
I'm never going back.
Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for everyone, so right now they are offering our listeners 15% off of your first order.
Go to thirdlove.com/drink now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase.
That's thirdlove.com/drink for 15% off today.
So I learned some really shocking information recently. Did you know that over 19 million people in America lack reasonable access to something as fundamental as birth control?
Yowza.
It's bad. Also, a third of people have actually used their birth control inconsistently to save money, which is just
bananas.
Heartbreaking, yeah.
Well, luckily, there is now Simple Health. Simple Health can get you birth control prescribed online and delivered to your door each month for free. It's convenient, affordable, and safe. And whether you're already on birth control or looking to get back on or want to try it for the first time, Simple Health is going to take care of you.
Here's how it works. You go to simplehealth.com/drink where you'll fill out a comprehensive online health profile, answer some questions to figure out what the best birth control is for you personally. They take into account your body, your preferences, your insurance situation, all of it. Then a licensed doctor will review your information, determine if you're a good candidate, and write you a prescription. Whether you know the exact brand you want or you just need a recommendation, they can prescribe over 100 trusted brands of the pill, as well as the patch and the ring. Then your birth control ships to your door for free, and with automatic refills, you never have to worry about forgetting a refill or missing the pill again.
And Simple Health is awesome because it lets you be in control of your health. So in a world where health policy is dictated by legislators or insurance plans, they truly believe that access to a doctor, insurance, and cost should never prevent people from getting birth control, and they're helping cut down those barriers, which is super cool.
We agree with that. Faux show.
Yeah.
But don't take it from us. Simple Health has already been rated 5 stars by hundreds of people. You can check out reviews on their website. And best of all, Simple Health is free with most insurance plans. So, to top it all off. So you can pay absolutely nothing to use this service every single month. And for those without insurance, don't worry. It's still super affordable. Pills start at just $15 a month, and monthly shipping is free for everyone.
And the annual prescription is usually $20, but our listeners can get Simple Health for free.
Woo!
If you just go to simplehealth.com/drink and enter code DRINK at checkout.
I also want to mention that this is not a replacement for routine checkups with your doctor. You'd still need those for your overall health, but this is the most convenient and comfortable way to get your birth control.
So again, don't miss your chance to try Simple Health for free. Go to simplehealth.com/drink or just enter code DRINK at checkout.
This is going to save you a lot of time and money. Tell someone in your life or check it out yourself and help improve access to healthcare. Everybody wins.
Yay. Okay, so I am on Twitter because my story today is on Twitter. What do you mean by that? Says Christine.
You did Dear David.
I did Dear David. This is very much like Dear David.
What? Okay, I'm excited.
So,
because Dear David is one of my favorites.
This was requested by not anyone on Twitter. This was a family member. I think this was my cousin. It's been in my phone for a long time, and I screenshotted it, and then I was like, okay, maybe one day. And then I got back to it, and I agree this is worth telling. So, this is the Greg thread, which I don't know how many people have heard about this.
Apparently, you mean Craigslist.
That's exactly it.
No. I've never heard of such a thing in my life. I'm sorry.
Greg's List, if you will.
Greg's List.
Greg's List of tweets.
Oh, wait, that's way better. That's a way cleverer. Take mine back.
So this is kind of long, so I'm going to... It's just like Dear David in that it's a series of tweets. Also, Dear David was really long, but Dear David had I used a Bustle article that had kind of compressed all the important parts of the story, so it was kind of easier to read. Nobody has done this yet that I know of for the Greg thread, so it's literally I had to go into Greg's Twitter. The handle is GR3 GORY88. So Gregory88.
Leet.
Yeah.
Remember Leet?
No.
Leet? It was like that language. Well, I had no friends in high school. But it was that language where you write with numbers. Like
I didn't know it was ever called anything. I just thought that was what cool people did.
1337.
Oh.
And it was called Leet.
I never knew it had a name.
Yeah.
And it's I want to go tell people about that, but everyone would be like, well, yeah.
Well, yeah. Maybe I just know that. I don't know.
That's super cool. But no, I always just called it, when people write with numbers.
It drove me crazy because my brother would be like, I'm writing it in Leet. And I was like, stop. Why? It's a high school essay.
The original Leet was writing boobs on a calculator.
Thank you.
So a bunch of people who are like Gen Zers are like, what are you talking about?
What's a calculator? They're also like, what are boobs? So suck it.
So
you children.
Gregory, or the Greg thread, is very creepy. Halfway through, I kind of got the sense that it might be fiction. It's for you to determine, but it is super scary. I was reading it in the middle of the night, and I like needed to put music on because it kind of psyched me out a little bit.
That kind of scary.
So
I like when M gets scared.
So I am going to kind of read this kind of quickly. I mean, it's long. Like, it's not like I'm going to blaze through it, but there are a lot of tweets to get through. So I'm going to kind of read it as if it's one big chapter of a book or something. Sure. Just because there's a lot to cover. The story starts October 29th and ends January of this year. So there's 3 or 4 months worth of tweets.
Wait, October 29th of
2018.
Oh, got it. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. It's like a year old now.
Yeah. So there's like 4 months worth of tweets, and they were pretty long. So I feel like this is kind of cheating in a weird way because I feel like I didn't do any notes. I'm just reading something verbatim.
Somebody put something about murder on Twitter, and I'll just read it.
Okay.
Well, don't, because that probably ends badly. But...
Unless like you go to jail afterwards.
Yeah, don't do that.
But so I am going to read this. This kind of seems to me like it's as if Dear David and Creepypasta had a baby.
Oh, dear God. Well, what?
So I also don't know. I should ask you like off camera, but do you know if we're allowed to post pictures from this? Like if he posts a picture, can we put it up?
Probably not unless we get his permission.
Okay. So
I guess maybe we could put it up and put the Twitter handle.
Let's just put the Twitter handle right here.
Yeah, that's
and then
true.
You can go find it and watch the videos. And if there is something that comes up, I'll describe it.
Sure.
I just don't want to
I
go
think
against,
Maybe we'll put them up, but to be safe, at the very least, we'll put the and then in the show notes we can also put it for those listening via audio.
Cool. Yeah.
Ear holes.
So I'm just going to get started. October 29th, 2018. I do appreciate that, just so we're clear, if you feel like you have to go all the way back through his Twitter, to like January to start reading the tweets, you don't have to, because, this seems to be its own book. Like once this Greg thread happened, no more tweets have happened since. So, and then before it, there's only like 4 or 5 random tweets.
Like I had like spaghetti
like
or something?
I ate eggs or something.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And so it's interesting because if this is fiction, it was kind of clever of him to kind of do some like random tweets at first to make it look like a more authentic Twitter.
Totally.
Although in hindsight, I'll get back to it, but it seems like some of these actually now make sense after reading the Greg thread where they were almost foreshadowing things in the story.
Oh, ooh, okay. Tell me.
All right, so I'm just going to start with the story and then I'll tell what some of the initial tweets were.
Great.
So the first one that kind of begins it all is October 29th, 2018. There's a picture of, I imagine Greg took this, of a log with a little worm on it.
I did see that little slug out of the corner of my eye.
And it says, made a new friend.
That seems like a Christine tweet if I ever saw one.
And
you
the
would
slug
be like,
becomes a demon. No, I'm kidding.
Oh! Remember when I saved that fruit fly and you would never have forgiven me?
I don't think the internet's forgiven you. People still talk about that.
People were appreciative of my humanitarian efforts. Thank you very much.
So there's essentially, it's a picture of him in the woods is what matters.
Great.
Greg then tweets out, something weird is happening in the woods outside my house and I don't know what to do. And I'm going to keep talking just so everyone's in the clear. There are going to be several tweets, but I'm going to read them as if they're a paragraph. So I'm not letting them be broken up. I'm just trying to read
You're like, thread, 1 out of 2.
Right. All right. So as I'm reading, don't assume it's all one tweet. It's all together. Something weird is happening in the woods outside my house, and I don't know what to do. I guess I should start at the beginning. This isn't really my house. It was my grandpa's, but I guess it's mine now. He died a couple months ago, and because of some tricky paperwork, I am apparently responsible for it now.
Oh, great.
He lived pretty far away up in the mountains by the lake. There are a couple other houses down the road, but they seem like they're empty for their season. They're empty for the season. I assume they're summer houses. I've been here for a few days, but it's really pretty, but it's super quiet and chilly. And then there's just pictures of like the lake and the woods. just to show you like what it kind of looks like.
Oh, I'm so scared of the woods.
Just very empty woods.
Oh, I'm so scared.
My mom never talked about my grandpa, and I only met him once when I was really young. I think they had a bad relationship, but the few times I asked about it, she got annoyed and changed the subject. So basically, I don't really know what I'm doing here. This guy from my grandpa's estate basically told me the house is mine now, so I came up here to sell it as fast as I can and go home. I guess it's not that easy to just sell a house, especially one in the middle of nowhere. At any rate, I think I'm alone up here. Or at least I was.
Oh,
I figured I'd be up here for a couple weeks to get all this handled, and then I'd go home and be done with it. I'm on a break from grad school, so I don't have any other responsibilities at the moment. But now, weird things are starting to happen. It started on my third day here. There's a little town about 25 minutes away that I've gone to get some food and supplies, since I don't know how long I'm staying. When I got back that evening, there was something strange on my door. And Christine, can you describe this?
Oh my god. It looks Blair Witchy, is what I can tell you.
So Greg says it was this artifact. I don't know what to call it. It was obviously handmade. It was made of sticks and twine and had some small bones tied in the middle of it.
So it's like a triangle of like these kind of broken sticks tied together with twine. And then in the middle, there's also a string of twine with little bones wrapped into the twine. And It looks like a triangle.
Looks like something from the Blair Witch.
It literally looks like Blair Witch stuff, yeah.
I didn't think too much of it at the time.
Oh,
I figured,
what? Okay.
Okay, just so we're clear, this story is going to have a lot of those moments where you're like, why are you still here?
I guess, if you're in that scenario, you're like, well, what else am I going to do?
Right.
Except tweet about it.
I didn't think too much of it at the time. I figured it was probably a kid from one of the other houses trying to mess with me, so I took it off the door and tossed it in the fireplace.
Excuse me?
By the next morning, I'd pretty much forgotten about it, and honestly, I had too much on my plate at the moment to worry about some kid's prank, so I got up that morning, made some breakfast, and went out on the deck with some coffee. I was sitting there drinking my coffee when I noticed something hanging in the tree, just over the railing. It was another one of those artifacts.
Good night.
Christine? Exact same thing.
Oh my god. The same thing, but now it's hanging in a tree, and it's like different, obviously, but it's the same idea.
It was just like the last one, but it had a rock tied to it instead of bone.
Is that what that is? Oh, well, that's an upgrade, I guess.
Or a downgrade.
I suppose.
And then immediately I saw another one in a tree farther down by the ground. I went down the deck steps to retrieve it, and then I started seeing even more of them.
Nah.
I found about 8 in total hanging in trees all around the house. So there's
crap.
Just a bunch of them.
Oh my god, one had like a bird feather just tied into it.
They all had different objects tied to them. Bones, feathers, that sort of thing. It was definitely weird, but I was more annoyed than anything, thinking that someone in my yard decorated the tree with ugly goth Christmas ornaments. Those are some fighting words, Greg.
To be fair, I was like, oh, this looks like something like my weird friends and I would have made in high school. Like, oh, look how spooky we are.
Also, if someone was trying to scare me, it was going to take more than some bullshit art and crafts project to do the trick. I gathered all the artifacts together and burned them like the first one.
This is not a good idea.
After I disposed of all the sticks, I took a shower, got dressed, and went back outside to do some basic tidying and whatnot. That was when I found something that actually did make me nervous.
Oh, what is it?
I was raking a corner of the yard when I saw something dark on the ground off in the trees. I couldn't tell what it was from afar, so I went to investigate.
I don't even want to look.
At first, I thought it was a blanket, but when I got closer, it was a big sweatshirt or hoodie. Yeah. I didn't want to touch it, but it was obviously clothing of some kind.
It looks like a blue hoodie.
Literally a navy blue hoodie.
That doesn't look as scary.
I looked around and realized it was a whole encampment. There were a couple old socks, a pair of what I think was underwear, a few old napkins scattered around, a plastic spoon, and creepiest of all, a beat-up notebook.
Goodbye.
I flipped open the notebook, but nothing was written inside. A whole bunch of pages had been ripped out of it, so I know someone had been using it. Plus, you could sort of see the shadow of pen marks on the most recent page. I couldn't make out what it was written.
Why are you still there?
Anyway, that definitely freaked me out. It was clear someone was camping out on my property and possibly trying to scare me out of the house. I wasn't really sure what to do about it. What could I do? I definitely didn't sleep all that night. Why would you be in this house?
It's all bad.
That was the day before yesterday. The next morning, I sort of expected more weird artifacts to be outside, but I didn't see anything, and the encampment was gone, so I figured it was probably a homeless person passing through. The driveway ends a way up from the house, and then you have to trek down a path which bends around the side of the house to get in. I was walking around the house when I saw some movement across the yard, near a tree, and I froze dead in my tracks.
Yes.
I thought that was the end, and I turned my attention back to the house. I realized the house had almost no cleaning products, and I went to go pick some supplies up. and then I came home. The driveway ends a ways at my house, and then oh, sorry, it was a repeat. The driveway ends a ways at my house, and then blah, blah, blah. I saw something near the tree, and I froze dead in my tracks. Someone was standing under the tree, staring at my house.
Well, I like the version better where you said, I saw some movement anyway, then I just moved on.
And then I went to go buy Windex.
Yeah, I was like, what happened? Okay, but so no,
I froze dead in my tracks because this house had no cleaning products, and I was not about to fucking stay there.
Listen, forget the Swiffer. There's something way worse going on here.
Someone was standing under a tree, staring at my house. They didn't see me, though, since I was also partly behind some trees and a good distance away. Whoever it was, they were wearing the same dark hoodie I'd seen in the grass the day before.
The fact that they didn't know he could see them. Oh, spooky. No, there's a picture? What is it? Oh my god. Oh my god! No, that can't be real. Mm-hmm. Stop.
Someone standing with,
It looks like a druid, like a hooded figure, and you can see that, like, the silhouette of their face in the, like, it's not dark out, it's like twilight almost.
It was terrifying. I would say it was literally it looked like a Dementor kind of.
It did. It looked like druid, they had like a cloak on or something, but it was if you look, it's like a hoodie.
Yeah.
It's almost scary that it's a hoodie because it's just like,
because you can't see the face.
Well, and it's also like it's not like they're wearing a big cloak to like scare you. It's like they're just wearing a normal outfit.
Also, it's scary that they're not doing anything except standing there and just staring at the house. That's the worst part to me because they could be doing something so much creepier if they wanted to. I stood there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying they have this notebook, which who knows what the hell they're staring and writing about. Oh.
As quietly as I could, I set down my shopping bags next to me and slipped my phone out. I managed to take a couple pictures, but the person turned and disappeared into the woods. I stood there for a couple minutes, too nervous to move in case the person came back, but they didn't, so I picked up my bags and hurried inside. I picked up the phone to call the cops, but put it back down because I didn't even know what I'd tell them.
There was a man on my property staring at the house, and I found out that he's camping out next to my house. What?
Well, Gregory said, someone was looking at my house, like any police officer would take me seriously.
Well, you gotta
try.
A druid was looking at my house.
And like an idiot, I destroyed all the weird artifacts from before so there wouldn't even be any evidence. I felt like there was nothing I could do. I was mad at myself and feeling scared all alone in the house, so I locked all the doors and left out the back. I went down to the lake because I didn't know what else to do.
Not that.
That's the worst, to go deeper into the woods.
I locked all the doors, then left the house.
And then left the locked home.
Yeah, right.
I walked a ways down the lakeshore, then sat for a while looking out the water. I thought about getting in my car and just going home, but I felt like that would get me in trouble. There's all sorts of property tax stuff I don't understand, and I feel trapped. Also, I couldn't decide if I was actually in danger. When my grandpa died, it took me a couple months to actually get up to the house, so maybe someone was just squatting in there, and now that I'm there, they might leave on their own accord.
Or maybe they were, like, staring at the house thinking, like, oh, should I left something in there? I wonder. Like, if they were, like, squatting
There could be a legitimate reason.
All my Windex is in there. I need to get it out.
The parts of my notebook that I wrote on are in there.
All my pages.
It was starting to get dark, so I reluctantly headed back to the house. I walked up the stairs leading to the back of the house, but right before going inside, I got this weird chill. I made up my mind that I absolutely did not want to stay in that house overnight.
Thank you.
I decided to go into my car and drive into town and find a motel for the night. The house was all locked up, and I already had my keys, so I went back around the house and led to the driveway. And that's when I saw her.
Huh? Her? Who?
The figure from before, standing right in the middle of my front lawn, staring straight at my house. I froze in place, completely in shock. I was practically next to her, but it was almost as if she didn't see me.
Wait, so it's the same night. Finally, he decides, you know what, I'm heading out. I'm going to town. And he gets back to the car, and he's like, oh, she's back, but closer?
Mm-hmm. On the property now, not hiding in the woods. So this is where it becomes a little creepypasta-y. So this is where my believability goes down, but it's still a very, very, very good story so far. So the figure standing in the yard. Then it hit me. She hadn't seen me because she couldn't see me because she had no eyes.
Ah! Sorry. What?
Had no eyes. Just skin over where her eyes should be.
Okay.
I wanted to run, but I felt like if I moved even a little, she would hear me.
Yep.
As quietly as I could, I went for my phone. I needed some sort of evidence to show the cops. It all felt as if this was happening in slow motion. I feel sick to my stomach as I'm writing this. And then there is a video, which I want to show you afterwards instead of now. But he basically gets a video of the person just standing there without the hood and just staring at the house. And then he just runs.
With no eyeballs.
With no eyes.
Can you see the part with no eyes?
Yeah.
I don't want to see this.
And he just runs afterwards. Like, it's like maybe 4 seconds of footage and runs.
I would not like to be a part of this.
I ran back around the house and got inside. It goes inside the house that this thing is staring at.
That seems smart.
I scrambled upstairs and looked out my bedroom window at the front yard, but she had vanished. Remembering it now, it feels like it didn't really happen, like it was a nightmare or something. I called the cops and explained what happened. I'm sure I sounded crazy, but they said they'd send someone by morning. By morning! No. And to keep my doors locked. So that's where I am now.
It is hard to be like, oh, there's a lady outside and not,
Yeah.
a dude calling the police being like, there's a lady wandering around, but my doors are locked. Like, they probably didn't think it was very pressing.
So this is a couple days later. He said he had shitty reception. I explained everything to the cop and even took him to the clearing where I found the stuff, but it was all gone except for the notebook. And since the notebook is empty, it was basically useless. I feel like the cop didn't believe me anyway. I showed him the phone, the photos I took of the stick things. He said at worst it was considered vandalism. He kept asking if I knew the person in the video. I think he just thought I was trying to prank him. After he left, I went back and got the notebook from the clearing. Maybe there's a way to figure out what was written on the last page. Anyway, the cop drove away and I was alone again. It's so quiet up here. All I want to do is leave, but I feel like I can't. I'm so far away from home. I haven't seen the woman from before. This is now Halloween, LOL. But I still feel like she's out there, and other weird things are happening too. I took a walk around the lake yesterday because I wanted to get a look at the other houses in the area, maybe to see if someone had noticed anything weird. But they're all empty. Every house is totally dark, and there are no cars in any of the driveways. I haven't seen a single person at all except once. Well, sort of. After I came back from my walk, I was out on the deck and I saw a boat in the water way off in the distance. They weren't moving.
Whoa.
They weren't moving. They stayed there all afternoon. I feel like they were watching me.
It's like a silhouette of a little boat off in the distance.
Yep.
In still water.
They actually stayed out there in the same place until it got too dark to see them anymore. Normally I'd think they were just fishing if it weren't for what happened the day before, and the fact that all these houses seem empty. Where did they come from?
Were they fishing also? Because if they weren't, then that's also part of the reason.
That's fair too.
It doesn't.
The boat was gone this morning, so who knows? That was a dog.
Sorry, what just happened?
That was a dog yelping outside.
Oh, I thought that was Gio.
Oh, was it?
I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood. Sorry.
Maybe there's someone with a hood out there.
I misunderstood his yelp.
The boat was gone this morning, so who knows? I microwaved some oatmeal for breakfast and took it down to the dock near the water. It's weird, but I guess I feel safer down there. The water makes me feel less stressed.
Yeah, it is weird.
It is weird because the place you should feel safest is on the highway towards a big fucking city where nobody is, like, this person's not going to find you.
Where people with eyes
I kind of feel
exist.
I kind of feel like time goes by faster when I'm by the lake. It feels meditative. Anyway, I was actually starting to feel a little better about everything, and I was starting to head back to the house when I noticed something in the water.
I'm going to be ill. What is it?
It was this tiny little inlet by the shore. It was small and white, and at first I thought it was a brightly colored rock, and it seemed too round. Probably against my better judgment, I took off my shoes and went into the water to retrieve it. It was an eyeball.
No. Actually, it says it was an eyeball. A fucking eyeball. But not a real eyeball.
This has to be from an animal, right? Please tell me this
it is a real eyeball?
Please tell me this is from a big fish or something. I threw it back in the water and hustled back up the house. I washed my hands in the sink and then sat on the couch for a long time.
And then set the house on fire and... No?
I don't know what's going on. I can't believe I picked that up out of the water. I still feel disgusting. And to make matters worse, the boat is back out there. It showed up again this afternoon, and it's just sitting there in the same place as yesterday. Are they watching me from that boat?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, they are.
I can confidently tell you.
They're just throwing eyeballs in the water staring at you. Oh. I keep hearing things at night. This is now November 6th. I keep hearing things at night. I stand out on the deck, and I feel like I hear things moving through the trees. It's probably just deer or something, but I can't help imagining it's something else. I'm sure I'm making it out to be worse than it is. Are deer nocturnal? I see them out on the road sometimes when I'm driving. I try not to think about it. But last night it was worse. I heard screams.
Oh my God.
That sounds so stupid to say, but I don't know what else to call it. I was brushing my teeth and heard something out on the bathroom window. I'm sure it was an animal, but my toothbrush was buzzing, so I can't be unsure. Because he was using... Quip. And then this morning, I found the bloody remains of something.
Oh.
Right in the middle of the yard, it was literal intestines, and they were fresh. I feel like I can't even post something like that on Twitter. Like, is it going to get flagged if I post it?
Probably.
I don't know what to do.
I mean, I'm about to flag that goddamn eyeball photo. There's a photo of it. If you have an eyeball thing, be careful.
Maybe I can upload it separately and share the link or something. Fair warning, this is pretty gross, so I don't...
Great.
So don't look if you're squeamish. I'm sure it's an animal, but what did this, and why was it left right in front of my house?
Let me see it.
Oh. And like the bees, there's like bees and yellow jackets already eating at it. And there's like fur.
You know what's weird too is, if an animal, like I've grown up with cats and things, if there's an animal that's been attacked, this is like perfectly formed intestine, like none of that is torn
ripped
up
apart.
or like eaten.
Yeah, something just got pulled out of it almost.
It's just like...
But it's also legitimate in that there's bugs all over it, like eating at it now.
It's been removed from something and set there.
Yeah, sorry, it's disgusting. Anyway, I scooped it up with a shovel and flung them into the woods. And
no, that's when you call the police and say, what is this?
What? Yeah, truly.
There's an eyeball somewhere.
I've been trying to figure out what's written in the notebook from the woods. I've had it a couple days, and I can see faint letters, but I can't make them out. A bunch of people replied and told me to do pencil or charcoal rubbing. I found a bunch of pens, but no pencils, so I had to go back into town. I was actually really hard to find charcoal.
I guess it would be, huh?
Especially if you're in a town where there's 5 people.
Right.
It seems like people in town are starting to recognize me. I don't like it. I didn't plan to be here that long, but it looks like I might not have a choice. People are nice enough, but it seems like the kind of town where everyone knows everyone, and I definitely don't belong. When I was in the hardware store, these little kids were following me around, giggling and making fun of me. I think they were twins. I couldn't really hear... I saw your body regurgitate.
Yeah,
I couldn't really hear what they were saying, but I'm sure they were making fun of me. On the way out of town, I stopped at a grocery store, but they were out of some of the things I wanted. It seemed
charcoal.
Charcoal. It seems like they're always out of stuff. They've been out of eggs for a couple days, so I've gotten some Pop-Tarts and stuff and left.
Thank you for that, though.
Good random fact about this town.
I mean, I'd be really appreciative to know what type of Pop-Tart, but I guess if you're not going to let me know,
not egg
fine.
type.
Ew.
Not charcoal type.
Nope.
Anyway, the notebook. I've actually been putting it off for most of the afternoon because I wasn't sure. I wanted to find out what the woman was writing in it. I can't ignore it forever. I'm going to eat dinner and I guess try the charcoal. I'll be back in a bit. Jesus, I did a charcoal rubbing over the most recent page.
No.
I'm sort of freaking out.
Sort of.
And here is a post, and it just says in chicken scratch over and over, they took my eyes. They took my eyes, they took my eyes, they took my eyes.
I'm going to vomit. And it gets bigger and more aggressive.
Yes, it gets bigger and more aggressive. What even is this? What the fuck? I feel like I'm going to throw up. I need to go sit down. What the hell is going on?
I also feel like I'm going to throw up. That's heinous.
I called my mom yesterday. I wanted to see if she knew anything about this place. She said I've actually been here before when I was really young, but I don't remember any of that. I tried to ask again why she never got along with my grandfather, but she was so cagey about it that she grew up in a town nearby, and my grandfather didn't move into this house until after my mom left for school. I guess she never really came back. So now him and his mom have no relation to this house.
Right.
We talked for a little bit, but my reception here is spotty. She asked if there's still wine in the cellar, and I told her there wasn't a cellar, but she said there is, down in the basement, off to a corner. After she hung up, I went downstairs to look, and she was right.
Oh.
There's a bunch of old antiques.
Oh, finally, there's wine. Oh, everywhere there's wine.
There's a bunch of old antique stuff in the basement, and behind some filing cabinets, there's a dusty little wine cellar. I can't believe I missed it at first. It's full of wine, and some of it is really old. I mean, some of it's literally like...
Oh, yeah, that's
like tearing apart.
Let me see. Oh. Wait, go back to... This looks like my grandma's...
This is Christine's...
This looks like my grandma's cellar in Bavaria, the big old house.
Any of this mean anything to you?
Yeah, some of them are newer ones, but like these guys are old at the bottom.
Well, there's these too. There were also these weird wooden wine stoppers all over the place.
Forget it. Those are creepy little faces.
And then there's like a dead rat on the ground saying like from the looks of it, nobody's been down here for a while.
Cute.
And
wow.
Look at some of these bottles. I don't know anything about wine. I wonder if they're any good. Anyway, at least I have a surplus of alcohol down here to keep my mind off of how
things have turned up a little bit. Look, this is from 1864, this wine.
1934.
Oh, wow.
It's apple brandy from 1864, apparently. Apple brandy.
Wow. Yeah, you're going to have to imbibe a lot of that. And you deserve it at this point.
This house keeps surprising me. I keep finding weird shit around the property. Like there's a collapsed shed in the back a little way through the trees.
Like, this is my dream house except for the woman without eyes.
Right.
The rest of it, I'm all about.
An abandoned wooden cabin.
Yeah, with secret cellars and stuff. I love that.
None of it makes sense, and there's something else I found out that I can't stop thinking about.
Oh, God.
There's so much junk around this house, but I'm trying to clean it up, partly because it'll help the place sell faster, but also to keep my mind off things. I was sorting through some debris and found these old rusty letters in a pile on the ground, partly under the foundation. I could see some nail holes on the side of the house, so I think they were on the house at one point. I know sometimes people give lake houses names. I can't figure out what they might have said, though. I brought them inside and laid them all out on the kitchen floor. So then he posts this picture of all the letters and asks his like followers to be like, what could this spell out?
Decode it.
Yeah. So that comes back later. But he did ask people to write in.
He is laying out a good story, I will say. Like, I know, who knows how much of this, but
definitely enticing.
The fact that he's like, what could this mean?
Right. Definitely like
anyway,
pandering to the audience.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Okay, so now it's November 21st. Sorry for not updating in a while. The reception up here is terrible, and I haven't been able to get Twitter to load. I've mostly been trying to keep busy getting the house in shape to sell. A realtor is supposed to come here next week to help me formally list it.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was wondering, like, why the hell he's spending so much time Windexing, but okay, if you're trying to get rid of the house, sell it, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I guess, like, trying to just make it look presentable
especially
first.
Clean up the yard, like, that makes more sense.
Clean up all, like, the weird debris and, like, make sure you store the wine for yourself.
Put some eyeballs, like, outside of the view of the potential
try to get the
customers.
weird person in the woods out of the way.
Yeah, you don't want new potential owners seeing, intestines.
But there's something weird about the town down the road that I can't figure out. I've been getting cabin fever pretty bad, so the other day I drove into town to have breakfast and wander around a little bit to get my mind off things. There's only one restaurant in town, from what I can tell. I went in there to eat, and the whole experience was sort of bizarre. I'm not really sure how to explain it. Anyway, I ordered the Eggs Benedict off the menu. The waitress had a pretty chilly attitude, but then she brought me my food, and they totally forgot the eggs on my Eggs Benedict. It was just ham and hollandaise.
Oh, but they were out of eggs.
But the whole town seems to be out of eggs. I called the waitress back and told her she'd forgotten my eggs, and she said, "We don't have that." I asked how a diner could not have eggs.
But actually.
And she said sorry and walked away. It was so weird. I was so confused, so I took a second look at the menu. I realized the description doesn't actually list eggs in the Benedict, and then I realized eggs aren't listed anywhere on the menu. There's even in the sides.
It's called Benedict. I love that.
Also, it's called All-American Homestead Diner since 1953. That's the name of the restaurant.
It is a real menu. Like, he's at least, this is...
I mean, if this is fake, he committed, he must have worked at ISS with me or something and made a fake menu.
Or he had to purchase in bulk, 500 menus to make one photo, but
I mean, even says, Florentine, English muffin with feta cheese and spinach. Benedict, English muffin, Canadian bacon, and hollandaise. And then, buttermilk pancakes. And, all the sides are bacon, sausage, turkey bacon, Canadian bacon, home fries, grits, and corned beef hash.
So, everything, every staple except for, the, only breakfast staple of eggs. That's so weird.
French toast breakfast. It's literally just served with butter.
So, how do you even make French toast without...
That's a good question.
Eggs, right?
That's a good question.
Wow.
There's the continuity error I'm seeing.
Good point, yeah. Because the French toast, I mean...
Yeah. It's just bread, just toast. It's American toast.
That's right. It's no longer French.
What kind of diner doesn't have eggs at all? That might make sense if this were a vegan restaurant or something, but they have meat all over the menu. I can't figure it out. Very, very astute.
Oh, yeah.
Also, on my way out, there's a family in a booth sort of watching me leave. They're all being really quiet in a sort of obvious way. They had 2 twin girls with them.
Not this again.
I'm definitely not coming back here.
Oh, I thought you meant you. I was like, yeah, me neither.
No, definitely not going to the All-American Homestead since 1953.
I love eggs. I will not be attending.
I was thinking about it the whole way home. There are too many things that don't make sense. I don't feel any closer to figuring it out, but one thing seems clear. I'm not welcome here. When I got home, I found something folded up and wedged in my front door near the handle.
Good night. Get a Ring doorbell.
What is it, Christine?
I don't want to know. Oh no.
It's a folded up piece of paper that just has someone had written leave.
And it's definitely that same handwriting.
Same handwriting.
It just says leave.
It was written on the back of some sort of tag. I suspect it was that eyeless woman from before. I haven't seen her, but I still think she's out there.
Wait, what's on the tag? Is it like a clothing tag? Oh.
Clean and dry repair area thoroughly. Cut patch larger than repair area. Is it for a Band-Aid or something? Place patch over holes.
And press down firmly. Do not. Oh, it's for I think it's for like an air mattress.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Like a patch, like a place over the
Oh,
hole,
yeah.
and then don't inflate for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, I don't know if that's necessary to
It
the
looks
story.
like, I don't know. It looks
Random
like
tag.
But like air mattress, that's kind of creepy if there's someone
Sleeping outside?
hiding out. I don't know.
I think something bad is coming. I'm going to go pop another bottle of wine. I don't know what else to do.
You're right. That's the only thing you can do at this point.
A couple days before December, I saw something out in the woods today.
Well, that's always good.
I've been trying to spend all my time at the house. Good. Since being cooped up all the time makes me feel crazy, even though it might not be super safe to be out alone in the woods.
Oh, no, maybe not super safe.
And then, anyways, I was taking a walk today, and these woods would be so pretty if I didn't feel like someone was going to murder me out here.
That's what I say every time I walk through the woods, though.
I was almost enjoying myself when I stumbled into a clearing and found something strange.
Oh!
There was a single filthy chair overlooking an edge.
It's like a folding chair.
And it didn't seem that creepy at first, but I got this funny feeling, so I took out my phone and pulled out my Maps app. And sure enough, the chair was pointed the exact direction of my house. I was probably a mile away from home.
Vomitous.
It made me feel...
A mile away?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It made me feel queasy, and I didn't want to stick around, so I hustled out of there, but I barely walked 30 feet when I found something else, something way worse.
I keep scaring... Every time you scroll, I, have to look away. I'm really nervous.
And there's a video...
What is that?
And pictures...
Is that a skull?
Of another shrine of some sort of bone creature... Something bone with a bunch of snail shells and rocks and twigs on it. It's another artifact kind of thing.
And it's like moss shaped in a triangle again around the bone.
With "What the hell is this?" as the caption.
Oh God.
Yeah. Sorry, I went too far. Nope, I didn't go far enough. That's the problem. Hang on a sec. I think my Twitter had to reload itself. Sorry. Christine, entertain them.
So here's what you do.
What would you do if you were him right now?
I would hire somebody to go, tidy or what's that one, handy. Hire someone to go clean the house, call a real estate agent and be like, I will meet you there for 1 hour on 1 hour only. And then you can sell this place.
Sure.
All the money you were going to put toward all those eggs, just put it toward the real estate agent.
All right, good.
Take the wine.
Take the wine and any version of a weapon you can.
Sage the wine and then take the wine.
I finally pulled myself away and practically stumbled away from the rock. I felt dizzy walking away and I just wanted to go back home. I started back in the direction of the house and that's when I saw her, the woman from before.
No.
She was standing up on a hill, seemingly staring at nothing. I darted behind a nearby tree, but luckily I don't think she saw me. She doesn't have eyes.
Yeah,
we already made this clear.
Figure that out, man.
I hadn't seen her in weeks, but I knew she was still out here. And there's a video.
I'm going to throw up.
I'm going to throw up. Woman just standing, cloaked, in the woods, staring down at the ground.
Facing this way.
Facing you. As if she had eyes, she would see you. I took a video from behind the tree. I don't even know why. It's not like it'll do any good, but at least I have proof that I wasn't imagining any of this.
It looks like a Dementor. But scarier because it's like a hoodie and it looks like a real person is just troubled.
It's literally a 9-second video of just someone just standing there and doing nothing in the middle of the woods.
The video's from behind a tree, so it keeps kind of going in and out. For God's sakes.
I'm sorry the story's long, but I promise it's good. Eventually, she left the hill and disappeared into the woods. Once I was sure she was gone, I practically ran back home. Actually.
I would hope so.
The whole way back, I kept expecting her to appear and attack me or something. I don't understand what she's doing out there. Is she a witch? That sounds so stupid, but I don't know how to explain any of this. Those weird stick artifacts and now this thing on the rock. It feels like fucking witchcraft.
Blair Witchcraft.
And who's that on the boat that I keep seeing out on the lake? Why is everyone in town so weird? At this point, I want answers. I feel like I'm getting close to something. I'm just scared of what the answers might be.
Oh my God.
I found out what those letters spell.
Okay, I already have goose cam.
I'd basically forgotten about it after finding them outside the house. I put them back in the closet and pretty much stopped thinking about them. But yesterday I found something else. There's this little alcove upstairs with a bunch of old books. Sort of like a mini library. I was flipping through some of them when I came across a little book about wine. Written by Christine Schaefer.
That's
Tucked inside, there were a couple of old Polaroids, and they were pretty faded. The second one was the blurriest, was blurrier than the first one. For a minute, I didn't know what I was looking at, but then I realized it was the side of the house and the letters I found on the ground a couple weeks ago. The photo is super fuzzy, so it took me a second, but I was able to make it out, and it spells Deepwater Chapel.
For fuck's sake.
This was so weird. I never heard that name before. Was my house an old church or something? I spent the afternoon going through all the other books in the library, but didn't find any other pictures. I don't know what to make of this. I'll let you know if I find anything else, but yeah, I don't know. December 12th. Read it, Christine.
She was here. That woman was in my house.
Yep.
Holy crap!
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I can barely type. Sorry, I'll try to explain. All right, so I was in the woods out back yesterday. Why are you not somewhere else? Go home.
Have you not read what we've read on your Twitter?
You know, on Mean Girls, when Tina Fey, the girl who doesn't even go here, Tina Fey's like, go home.
Yeah, just
many people in the comments of this thread just post that gif.
Really? It's so funny. Good. I mean, God, that's the only thing I could think though, is leave.
I was in the woods out back yesterday when it started pouring. It happened really suddenly, and even though I wasn't far from the house, I got soaked. It got soaked anyway. It rained most of the evening. I left my clothes by the fireplace to dry and ended up going to bed early. Or I guess it was today. Sorry, I'm still not really awake yet. Anyway, I had this awful dream tonight.
God damn it.
Sorry if I'm rambling a bit. I'm still trying to collect my thoughts. My hands are shaking. In the dream, I was on the deck outside with a bunch of friends from back home. We were all sitting in a circle. My friend Eric was there talking about how creepy the woods were. He was saying how the trees were just like black silhouettes and anything could be out there watching you and you'd never know it.
Isn't that fun?
He was sort of freaking me out, but I was trying not to show it. I know what you're doing and it's not going to work. You're not going to scare me. And Eric sort of narrowed his eyes at me and says, I bet I can scare you. Something about the way he said it made me uneasy. And I was like, all right, very funny. You can stop now. But Eric wasn't smiling anymore and he was just staring back at me. The whole mood seemed to shift at that point. Nobody in the circle was talking anymore, and it suddenly got really quiet, no sound except the wind and the lake down below. Any trace of joking has disappeared from Eric's face. After a long minute, he slowly cocked his head to the side a bit and said, is there someone here with us right now who shouldn't be?
All right, well, goodbye.
All of a sudden, I was too scared to break Eric's gaze, afraid I'd see something I didn't want to. For a long time, we just stared at each other. Nobody said anything. And then very softly, Eric said, is somebody watching you sleep right now, Greg?
Oh, no.
That's when I bolted awake. It was the middle of the night. I was alone in my room, but I had this weird feeling that someone had just been there in the room with me.
No.
I laid there in bed for a minute, too terrified to move, too scared to breathe even.
No.
And then I heard something downstairs.
No.
At least I thought I did. This house is always making sounds, but I couldn't be sure. I hesitated for a second. Then I crept out of the bed and went down to the hall, trying to be as quiet as possible. From the second floor landing, I can see the living room and part of the kitchen, and everything seemed normal. I could hear the wind blowing pretty loudly, so I figured maybe I hadn't heard anything after all. I tried to calm myself down. I was wide awake at that point and too shaken to go back to bed. So I went downstairs to get a snack or some coffee or something. I walked into the kitchen and then stopped dead in my tracks.
I don't want to look.
There's a door in the kitchen that leads outside, and it was wide open. Wide open. He woke up in the middle of the night, and his door is wide open to the outdoors.
To the outside.
I was wondering why you weren't reacting.
Because I thought I was looking for a figure in there or something.
Nope, just he came downstairs, and the door is now wide open.
The door that was locked, I presume.
It was locked. I know I locked it. I lock all the doors every night, and even if I forgot to lock it, I know I wouldn't leave the door wide open like this.
No, that makes no sense.
And the whole kitchen floor is now wet with rain.
Oh! Well, even the fact that this person or whatever didn't even bother to close the door as if I don't even care that he knows I was here.
It's very intentional. I want you to be fucking scared.
The door being open to I can't believe he took a photo. I would have fucking slammed that shit and...
I would have... And also, how do you know that they're not still there? Maybe I left the door open just to psych you out.
Or they're right outside the door so you can't go near it. Oh my God, I'm going to throw up.
I'm calling a locksmith first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning! Call the police now, immediately.
You are on Twitter, my good sir.
I wanted to leave, but I don't even know where to go. I'm alone out here. Should I find a motel? Yes! I just realized my wet clothes are gone. She fucking stole my clothes.
What?
I'm not spending the night here.
The ones from the fireplace that were drying? Oh, no.
I'm sorry I haven't... Oh, this is 2 weeks later, by the way.
No, so everyone's like, oh, he did.
He's fucking Gone.
Goodbye.
I'm sorry I haven't said anything in a while. This is 2 days before Christmas. I've been staying in a motel about an hour outside of town. When I left the house that night, I just kept driving until I felt like I was far enough away to feel safe. I called a locksmith, but they weren't able to come out right away, and there was no way I was going back to that house without new locks. So I've been waiting it out here until I can go back, basically doing nothing, jumping at every little sound. Finally, a couple days ago, the locksmith called and said he'd come back out, so I checked out the motel and got in my car to drive home. And the closer I got to the woods, the worse I felt. In my head, I knew going back was wrong, but I can't just leave for good. I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't leave. I don't expect anyone to understand. It's almost as if the house is attaching itself, or the creature's attaching herself to you. That's me. That's me saying that. Like, it sounds like he's gotten attached to the house.
Yeah.
Anyway, I drove past town and reached the woods, where the roads get worse and harder to drive on. They get twisty as you drive up. There's not a single deer in sight. In fact, the woods seemed a lot quieter than usual. I could have been imagining it, but something seemed off. I was almost ready to turn around when something darted across the road.
Goodbye.
It was so fast that I wasn't sure I saw it at all. I panicked and swerved off the road and into a deep groove by the roadside. I have no idea what it was. It was just a blur. It wasn't a deer. It was red like blood.
What?
Worse, my car was stuck. It was my mom's old car. I knew it wasn't a good idea to walk the rest of the way, but if I didn't, I'd miss the locksmith and I'd have to either spend the night in the house with old locks or go back to the motel, which I couldn't afford.
Or be in the car or something. I don't know.
I guess no option is good.
No option is good. It's all bad.
I wasn't too far from the house, so it made the most sense to walk the rest of the way and call a tow truck from home. Once I was outside, I realized I'd been right about the woods seeming quieter than usual. I couldn't even hear birds. It was dead silent.
That's not good.
Every twig that cracked under my shoe sounded like bones breaking. I was periodically checking my phone's GPS to make sure I was heading the right way. I had just rechecked my route and I was about to put my phone away when I saw something that made my heart sink.
Great.
It was another one of those artifacts, like the ones I'd seen on my first day, but it had one of my gloves tied to it from the rainstorm. When I left my clothes by the fire to dry, there was a pair of gloves there too. It's definitely a wooden-made stick triangle with a glove in it.
You know what else is creepy? It's like formed like a hand. Like
yeah.
It's not just like a dangling glove. It's like as if it's making a fist almost. What I wonder... Wait, so it's daytime?
He's walking back as the sun's about to set.
Oh, okay. I thought we were in the middle of the night and I was like, I'm very confused. Okay. It's daytime.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And walking back and then sees us on the way to his house.
Forget about it.
I knew that woman had taken my clothes that night, and this just confirmed it. I also knew I'd find the rest of my clothes before I even saw them.
Ugh.
And sure enough, I found more of those artifacts not far from the first.
Oh my god. And this is terrible.
I found my other glove, my socks, and a bandana, everything from that night except for a sweatshirt I'd been wearing. So there's 3 new ones on the way. They all have different pieces of clothing of his in the center of the triangle.
Let me guess. He's going to see her and she's going to be in his sweatshirt.
Ooh, like a new hoodie.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Some shopping.
I left them alone this time. I didn't want to touch them. All I wanted to do was get back to the house, change the locks, call a tow truck. I started jogging a bit, wanted nothing more than to get away from those stick things. But after a while, I started to think I should have been home already.
Oh, no.
I slowed my pace and took out my phone, but it wouldn't recalibrate this time.
No.
It couldn't seem to locate me in the GPS. Still, I could hear the lake off to my left, which meant I was walking alongside it the right way. I should get to my house eventually, so I kept moving and tried not to think about getting lost. I must have gotten turned around because I was walking for what seemed like ages. I found myself in a part of the woods that seemed unfamiliar. I had no idea where I was. And then suddenly I saw something off in the distance. Something bright white, almost seeming to glow against the dark trees. I couldn't figure out what it was from a distance, so I went closer, trying to be as quiet as I could. When I actually got close enough to see what it was, and my mouth fell open. And they were eggs.
Literally fell open.
Literally fell open.
What? It's eggs?
Eggs.
What? Wait, let me see.
This is where it gets creepypasta because they were huge.
Oh.
They look like balloons to me.
They look like,
They look like white balloons.
Yeah, they do look like balloons.
He could also be taking pictures really up close, but proportionally it doesn't look right.
So they're large eggs. But he says they're large eggs, right?
He says they're huge eggs all in a cluster like a nest.
Oh, forget it.
I felt like I was dreaming before I even knew what I was doing. I touched one. I couldn't help myself. It was warm. I had a sudden urge to smash it and see what was inside, but then just as quickly decided against it.
Your urges are all wrong.
Your urges are off, bro. I felt sick, like I was going to throw up if I didn't leave right away. I left the clearing and tried to listen for the lake and then headed in that direction. I got to the lake shore and felt a little better since I was out of the trees. I had a better view of my surroundings and I was able to pinpoint my house a ways down the shore. I never thought I'd be so happy to see it. The rest of the way back, I felt like I had vertigo. I couldn't make sense of anything that had just happened, and I still can't. The locksmith arrived a little bit later and changed out the locks. I watched him work in a daze. It was almost as if I also had him install deadbolts. But now I'm alone again, and I can't stop thinking about what I saw. I can't figure any of this out. I don't know what's happening. I know I should leave, but I can't. I heard something. Someone's outside. And we're coming up on the grand finale here.
That's its own tweet. I heard something. Someone's outside.
I was in the kitchen washing a glass and I heard something outside on the deck, a scratching sound, and then it stopped. I thought I imagined it, but then I heard footsteps. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I just ran outside without thinking. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't even know if I'm scared anymore. I just want answers. I can't be sure, but I think it was her. I saw someone running in the woods, but I couldn't catch her in time. I thought about chasing her into the woods, but decided against it. I don't want to get lost out there tonight.
No.
I turned around to go back inside, and that's when I saw what she'd been doing on my deck in the first place. His sweatshirt is now hanging in a massive tree stick artifact, and behind it, she has etched in "Fear the New Moon."
Like into the wood of the house.
Yes. I still shouldn't be surprised by these artifacts, but this one was huge, taller than me, and it had my sweatshirt from the storm tied in the middle.
What are the white things?
Those are the sticks. It's like a massive...
Oh, they're branches?
They're like logs. Like, yeah, branches.
Wow. Oh, absolutely not.
Honestly, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm sick of this. I was about to go back inside when I noticed that something was written on the wall. Fear the new moon. What the fuck does that mean? I hate that I consider this my house now, which is a whole new thing. That this feels normal. I'm losing it. I want this to end. Whatever this new moon shit is, I feel like something's coming. Fuck this. Mm-mm. And then posted a picture, like a screenshot from his phone of when the next new moon is.
Right.
And he tweeted, I guess the next new moon is January 5th. So January 4th, we see tweets. It says there's going to be a storm tomorrow, which would be January 5th, the new moon.
Okay.
The new moon is tomorrow, too. I should be fine if I just stay inside. Wrongo, friendo.
What happened the last time?
Right. It's been storming all day and into the night, thunder and everything. I stayed inside all day. Nothing has happened yet. Maybe nothing will happen. Okay. Still, I'm nervous. I've been freaked out all day. Maybe I shouldn't have stayed. I don't know what's wrong with me. I should leave tomorrow.
We've told you enough times.
It is January 5th. You've been here since October 29th. Uh-oh. It is time to go, sir. I'm not even really sure what I'm saying. I just need to occupy myself with something. I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving tomorrow, first thing in the morning. I don't care about selling this house anymore. I just want to go home. I just need to make it through the night. I'll be fine if I stay inside. And then, January 5th, that night.
She's here. She was in the cellar.
That's right.
That's right, she was.
That's fucking right.
Drinking that apple brandy. She's like,
1864, 1864.
That's my fucking apple brandy, you dick.
Then Gregory says, fuck, I practically ran into her. She didn't even hear me because of the thunder outside. Her back was to me and she was standing dead still in the middle of the room, just staring at the wall.
I don't think I can look at this.
It is a person staring at the wall.
Let me see.
Who has no hair.
The hood is down, to be clear.
The hood is down. A bald person.
With presumably no eyeballs either.
Presumably no eyeballs. No hair, no eyeballs. I couldn't move. I was petrified. All I could do was stand there like a fool and stare at the back of her head. And then she turned around and she spoke to me.
Wait, sorry, real quick. Can you imagine taking that photo and you're like, taking the photo and then you forgot to turn the volume down and it's like, cha-ching! You take a photo, click.
Or like the flash goes on.
Oh
no. So she speaks to me. And now, officially, we have gotten to a place where I feel safe to say that this is very much likely a creepypasta.
Okay. I mean, I'm very frightened, which I guess is the point.
Once I tell you the rest of it is going to sound a lot more fiction-based than anything. So, but up until this point, wow, have I been scared out of my mind.
Yeah, I mean, especially reading this late at night and you're on Twitter where someone's just like relaying their own personal story. It's not good.
So, And then she turned around and she spoke to me. She said she won't hurt me. She said she'd explain everything. I'm sorry, this is all happening so fast. She's sitting in my living room right now. I can't believe this is happening. Can you imagine like trying to text like under the table? Like, oh my God, she's right here. It's like, we don't have T9 anymore. No. Like, you can't just like text without looking.
Hey Siri, send a tweet. Oh, shoot. Don't actually. Everybody, don't.
She's still talking.
Oh, okay. She doesn't understand what else is new. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sense of this. She said she'd tell me everything. I'll be back. Like, we'll have coffee first and then I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys have a date. Okay, I get it.
First she said she made the stick things for my protection. Twist there.
Yeah.
She says it's dangerous out here and she was trying to protect me. When I asked what she was trying to protect me from, she said she was quiet for a long time. When she finally replied, I could barely hear her, and she said, "There are things in the water." I didn't really believe her, but I didn't have any rational explanation for the things I've seen, so instead I just listened. Apparently a long time ago, something came from the sky and landed in the lake. It brought something with it, something ancient and strange.
An eyeball.
And Windex. The people who lived here began to commune with it, so the people at the chapel. They protected it from the outside world, devoted their lives to it, and in return, the thing gave them a gift. The people were blessed with abnormally long, healthy lives and many children, but it all came with a price. I had so many questions, but I didn't know which ones to ask. In the beginning, there was just one. It spent most of its time deep in the lake slumbering, but over time it made more. Instinctively, I asked about the eggs I saw in the woods, and the woman nodded. There are many of them now. They come from the water to lay eggs, and the people take care of them, hide them away until they hatch, but when they hatch, they need to feed. At that point, I started to put two and two together, and I thought about all the twins I'd seen in town, and she must have sensed my understanding because she said, "I told you there was a price. The people in this town are blessed with many children, but they don't get to keep them all."
What?
When the eggs hatch, the people must bring one of their own to the woods, and the creatures need to eat. They start with your eyes. I asked her how she knew all this, but I already knew the answer.
Yeah, I'm like,
why would you?
They start with the eyes. Also, I don't have eyes, but I guess if you need me to explain it, I will.
Oh, can you imagine? And they start with the eyes. Oh, what happened to your eyes?
Yeah, like, I don't get it.
I know because it happened to me. When I was a girl, my father brought me into the woods with the others, offered me up to the newborns, and they took my eyes. And the best part of that to me is, it's like, can you imagine being the child where it's like, you're looking at your siblings, like, which one of us is it going to be?
You must be sucking up to your parents.
You must be kissing
constantly.
Ass. Like, oh my gosh. Like, it's not whether or not Santa's watching you. It's like whether or not you're getting fed to these creatures.
It's more like a German Christmas tale if I ever heard one.
I waited until she was ready to speak again. It was a long time before she did. She told me how she was led to one of the eggs, how she watched it break open, how something came out of it, and before she knew it, something was on her, burrowing into her eyes. She wasn't sure what happened next. She only remembers the searing pain, and then suddenly she was set free. She doesn't know if she managed to push the creature off or if someone helped her, but she got away and ran into the woods, and she was too scared to go home. Duh, your dad just did that to you.
Bring you right back.
And eventually the forest became her home because she stayed in the woods. I felt completely bewildered. None of this made any sense to me, but at the same time, somehow it did. I couldn't figure out what to say. Finally, I asked, "Why are you willing to tell me all this now after all this time?" And the woman said, "It's the same every year. They come out of the water in the fall, lay their eggs. A few of them begin to hatch early, and they feed on animals in the woods. They need strength to make it back to the water. But most of them hatch when it's darkest, and tonight is the new moon. Tonight is the ceremony."
Oh, so it's their new moon. It's dark.
My stomach began to sink as realization set in. Realization about what was about to happen in the woods. We have to do something to stop it, I blurted out. I started getting out of my chair, but she shook her head and said, "It happens the same way every year. We can't stop it." But I wasn't listening. I don't even know where I was going, but I ran into the woods. At some point, the rain had stopped. It was dark and I couldn't see anything. Things were moving through the trees. I could see lights in the distance, fire or flashlights. More than once, something ran past me in the trees. I was using my phone as a flashlight to try to take pictures, but everything was happening so fast. I don't know what these are. And then posted pictures of other people. They're kind of people, but maybe they're creatures that were hatched.
They look like zombies almost.
Staring at him through the woods. And then this was the closest one he could get.
Yeah, that's a zombie.
It looks like a zombie to me.
Like a skeleton.
He said, they all moved so fast. I ran for what seemed like an eternity, ran in circles. I had no idea where I even was. And then somehow I was back in the same clearing where the eggs had been, but they were gone now. Nothing but bits of shell. So what he saw, maybe, were the things that had hatched.
Right. And so his initial thought of, oh, these things want your eyeballs. They're outside. Oh, I should go out and stop them? What?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
It was over. I was too late. It had already happened, and they'd cleared everything up. Or they'd cleaned everything up. I was too late. So ideally, he
wanted to, like...
save people.
How?
I don't know. I have no idea what his
if they're
plan
already
was.
ready to hatch, and you smash them open, they're just, oh, thanks, you hatched me.
Now give me your fucking eyes.
I hear... I'll take those.
One for you.
Oh.
One for me. I stood alone in the clearing. The lights in the distance were disappearing. It was getting quieter. And just like that, I was running again towards the lake. I don't even know why. I couldn't do anything. Branches scraped my face as I ran blindly through the trees. I reached the water, but there was nothing there. I saw some faint ripples out on the black water. But then it was over. I was too late. I'm back at the house. The woman is gone. It's so quiet. I don't know what to say right now. I'm going to leave in the morning. I'm still here. I'm alive. I left the house that night. That was on January 16th.
And then there's an ad for Hellman's mayonnaise.
And then there's some mayo.
In the middle of the thread.
I decided...
What if he's like, sponsored post?
Right.
Made of eggs.
Made of eggs.
Hello.
Wait a minute. Fresh. I decided not to sell it. I don't think anyone would buy it anyway. I locked the doors and I got in the car and left. I'm home now trying to process everything. The morning after, it was so quiet and peaceful in the woods. It was like nothing had happened at all. Or like I dreamed it maybe. Sorry it took me so long to update. I wasn't sure what to say. I still have so many questions. I might never have all the answers, but something happened out there. I can't explain it. But whatever it was, I can't let it happen again. That's why I'm not going to sell the house. That woman said this happens every year. If she was telling the truth, then maybe there's something I can do next time. So I guess that's all for now. I'm heading back to school next week, so hopefully that will take my mind off of things. And then the last tweet, I'm not sure when I'll tweet again. I need to take a break and get my head together, but I'll be back. I have to go back. I won't let it happen again. So who knows? I do. It probably wasn't real at all.
Right.
However,
but it's very creepy.
The first half of that, and I'm so sorry that was so long, but I was reading it and just like enamored with this last night.
It is creepy, dude.
And it was the first half of it terrified me. And then I got to those massive eggs and I was like, wait a minute.
It was the point of the eggs that look kind of like balloons and you're like, what is the... It is weird though, like that, why don't they have eggs? Just to not remind people?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like they don't have eggs Benedict because it's like, well, you don't want to remind your twin children one of them's going to get their eyeballs pulled out.
I hadn't even thought of that. Like the eggs are literally a bad omen at this point in the town. Anyway, I'm so sorry. That's probably the longest story I've done in a while, but it was requested by my cousin.
Good
but
news.
It was really good.
Good news. I have the longest story I've pretty much ever done, so this is
hopefully you're on a road trip.
Super good. Wowza. Should we order some food first?
Yes, let's order some food. Elevator music?
Eggs, anyone? I think for both of us, it's really important to have family memories preserved. I feel like we both have like old videos and that kind of thing.
And we're both very nostalgic people.
Like
and we're collectors.
To quite a degree.
Yes. So the more like home photos, the better.
Yeah. So thank God we found Legacy Box, or rather Legacy Box found us. It's a great relationship.
Legacy Box is simply the best way to convert all your old analog media to DVD, thumb drive, or even convenient digital downloads so you can easily share with all the members of your family. Plus the process from start to finish is super easy. You just go online and purchase the box that you need, and then they send you a Legacy Box kit and you fill them with all your media, slap on the prepaid mailing label, and just send it back.
It was so easy. So I called my mom. I was like, by the way, there's a box coming to your house. Put all our tapes in it. And she was like, where are they going? And I was like, don't worry, Legacy Box takes care of it. So what she did is she slapped on all the barcodes, sent it in, and then within a couple weeks we got all our originals back in perfectly good condition, plus perfectly preserved digital copies ready to watch, share, and relive. And we got to sit at the computer and like watch all of the files. We got to send them to all my family in Germany and Austria. It was just really special and like one of the best, most like bonding nostalgia moments ever.
And Legacy Box keeps you informed throughout the process with regular email updates, so you know exactly where all your stuff is.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, this is just such a great idea. I mean, the holidays are coming up. Like,
brilliant.
What better than to give someone all of the memories that you have?
I'm actually annoyed that I already did this because it's such a good gift. I want to do it again. Maybe I'll do it for my dad this time.
Well, start preserving your past today. Go to legacybox.com/drink to get 40% off your first order.
Guys, try it out. It's super fun. Save your time and memories. Go to legacybox.com/drink and save 40%. So we're pretty busy people, but we're also Geminis, so we like to keep ourselves engaged.
Yes, we get bored easy, and so we like to learn and stay sharp.
Stay sharp and try new things. And that is why we love Skillshare, because maybe you want to get back in an old passion, learn something new, just even expand your creative skills, and that's what Skillshare will help you do.
Skillshare is an online learning community for the creator and all of us. They have thousands of classes in photography and creative writing to design, productivity, and more. And their classes are on demand, so you can learn at your own pace.
That's the best part. I like, now that we're doing YouTube videos, I realized I hadn't, taken a video course since college, and I was like, uh-oh. But with Skillshare, it was really cheap, really easy, and they had like really professional courses on using Premiere, and so I've been brushing up. And hey, what do you guys think?
It's clearly been going all right.
I think so.
At the very least, you're doing like B- work here.
Oh, thank you. I think my teacher would say otherwise, but okay. Yeah, so guys, you should try it too. Join the millions of students like us already learning on Skillshare, whether you want to make grilled cheese like Em or learn video design like me, and get 2 months free when you sign up at Skillshare.com/drink2.
That's 2 whole months of unlimited access to thousands of class for free.
Thousands.
Get started today by heading to Skillshare.com/drink2 to sign up.
That's Skillshare.com/drink2. All right. We're back.
We're back. Also, in our break, as of 20 minutes ago.
What are you doing?
Anthony became the sexiest reality star of 2019.
Hello, did I not call it?
People magazine, Anthony.
I mean, listen, you asked who I was attracted to. I'm telling you who I'm attracted to. I can't control it, okay?
All right.
Anthony is extremely attractive to me.
You and every other person.
Apparently. And
you and every gay man, and
yeah,
probably also many straight and queer women.
Yeah, I mean,
several non-binaries, everyone in between.
You're just gonna list them all.
Everyone except me.
You don't want to lay.
Everyone except me.
You don't find him attractive. Okay.
No.
I
mean, I think.
No. All right. Fine. Well,
I don't think he's like not attractive. I just like he's nowhere near my top 10. That's all.
Sure. He's
no Brie Larson.
He's pretty near my top 10. Anyway. All right. Ready for my story?
Yes, I am.
This is one that I thought I knew about. Whoa, I didn't. I did not. Sorry. The things that I thought about this were incorrect. So I learned a lot. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
This is a story of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping.
I don't know what that is.
What? At all?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You mean like Charles Lindbergh?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then yes, I do know about this.
Oh, so you just thought it was the other baby?
I thought like there's no way Lindbergh means Charles Lindbergh. I don't know why.
Wait, so
wasn't his son kidnapped?
Yes.
That's all I know.
So the Lindbergh baby kidnapping?
Yeah,
I just didn't strike a chord with, I know Charles Lindbergh's baby was kidnapped, but it couldn't have been the Charles Lindbergh baby kidnapping.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Good.
I don't know why anyone's surprised.
I am just confused, but that's okay.
Welcome to every fucking day of my life.
I'm just trying to understand where you are so I can understand where we're bringing you.
It seemed like I somehow was right for once, and I was like, that can't be. So I was like, oh, well, there's no way that's... I don't know.
Okay, well, so Charles Lindbergh, yep. So anyway, I'm like a total PBS nerd. I know, whatever, make fun of me. But I saw there was a Nova special on this, and I got really excited. I fucking love Nova. And by the way, I was told, so Peter Thomas, who was the voiceover narrator for Forensic Files, actually did pass away a couple years ago. I learned that. And so, R.I.P. I know I spoke about him in the present in the last episode, and I apologize about that. I was not aware. He passed away in 2016, but he was also an announcer on Nova for a long time, which I didn't know. So
you didn't know
Nova? I didn't Nova. Yeah, Good one. So the Nova special that I watched is called "Who Killed Lindbergh's Baby?" Okay, so now this is even. I started watching this Nova special and I was like, holy cannoli! It gets even more down my alley because this special is basically hosted by John Douglas, who's one of my heroes. He's the FBI profile who pioneered the use of behavioral analysis for tracking down serial killers, aka Holden Ford, Mindhunter. Based on Douglas. Also, Jason Gideon and David Rossi of Criminal Minds were based on him. BAU, Represent, Shamar Moore. Listen, we'll get into it later. But basically, John Douglas is like a brilliant man, and you should read Mindhunter or watch it because it's a great show. And season 2 was, I think, even better than the first. Okay, so John Douglas, he says he's been haunted by the Lindbergh case for years. So this special takes him back to the scene, to like the original scene of the house and everything, to re-examine all the evidence. So The story itself, as apparently M knows fully well,
not at all,
is
literally the only information I know is that Charles Lindbergh had a son, and then I thought maybe he was kidnapped. So now I'm
you
being
were
confirmed.
right. Yeah, you were pretty right.
I feel like it's like one of those things that was like in a back fold of my brain.
Yeah, I think I learned about this, but for some reason I thought he survived. Like, I think I told myself, like, oh, the baby survived. The baby very much did not survive. So sorry about that.
Good to know. Good
if
spoiler.
I'm bursting any bubbles.
Mine.
Well, I did just tell you that the episode was called Who Killed Lindbergh's Baby, but sure, I know you don't really listen. Okay. So the story revolves around Charles Augustus Lindbergh, an American hero. A world hero, if you will. At the age of 25, while working as a U.S. Air mail pilot, he shot to world fame when he made a non-stop solo flight from New York to Paris, crossing the Atlantic alone in a single-engine airplane, the Spirit of St. Louis. The flight took 33 and a half hours and turned him into a global icon. So that same year, Lucky Lindy, as he was often nicknamed, met and fell in love with 21-year-old heiress Anne Morrow. They were married in 1929, and the following year, she became the first American woman to earn a first-class glider pilot's license.
Wow.
I know. They were like very much a power couple. They flew together often. They were the first couple to fly from Africa to South America.
Huh.
And Charles and Anne had their first son, Charles Jr., a.k.a. Charlie. He was born on Anne's 24th birthday, June 22nd, 1930. So he becomes this kind of like icon, like prince in the eyes of the American people, because he, there's this American hero and he has this beautiful baby, and now the baby's like, kind of like, what's the Kardashians' names?
What's the Kardashians' names?
Well, the babies.
All of them?
Northwest?
Oh, sure.
East, west? I don't know.
I would say he's more like a Mason Disick.
Southwest? I don't know their names. What's that?
Mason Disick is the first of the Kardashian grandchildren.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know much about this. I'm sorry. I'm really bad. I watched Nova. I watched PBS. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I watched E. It's fine.
I worked at E, and I still don't know. It's really bad. I actually was telling the story yesterday about how, was that to you? How Kris Jenner, we was at the show, at the studio for a show that we worked on, and Alexis dropped her omelet in front of her. And Kris Jenner was like, oh, honey, don't worry about it. We'll just get a new one. Don't worry. And so kind.
You have told me many stories that Kris Jenner is very nice.
She's just so, like, kind and put together. And, like, you can tell she's fucking brilliant the way she's set this all up as a business. But she was so kind to us. And we were like, oh, God, sorry. We fucked up. And she's like, don't worry. We'll get another one. She's like, I wasn't even that hungry anyway. Like, she was so sweet. And then we've had people who were, like, F-list celebrities who treat us like shit. So just saying.
PSA, Kris Jenner sounds like a babe.
She's at least she knows well enough to be, like, kind to people. You know what I mean? Like, some people think it's really cool and...
like, you can get away with
to be an asshole diva, but it's like, nah, it's not a good look. Okay, sorry. So, anyway, the apple of his parents' eye, the apple of America's eye. One evening when Charlie is 20 months old, he was also very cute, like, does, like, big curly hair.
It's like a Gerber baby cute.
Yes, like, very precious. When he's 20 months old, he's put to bed in his crib on the second story of his family's home in Hopewell, New Jersey. Later that night, his father, Charles, goes to check on him and finds the crib empty.
Oh, shit.
Probably every parent's worst nightmare, I would imagine. They found a ladder propped up against the side of the house leading to Charlie's window. Oh, no. And a ransom note was left behind on the windowsill. The note was riddled with spelling mistakes and grammatical irregularities. It read... I'm going to attempt to read this to you. I mean, you can't see all the spelling. let's just go. Dear Sir, ! Have $50,000 ready, $25,000 in $20 bills, $15,000 in $10 bills, and $10,000 in $5 bills. After 2 to 4 days, we will inform you where to deliver the money. We warn you for making anything public or for notify the police the child is in good care. Indication for all letters are signature and 3 holes. So, I get it. That's the first time I understood what that meant. So what they're saying is indication for our future letters are this signature, and it has 3 puncture holes in it. So basically the signature is 2 interconnected blue circles surrounding a red circle, kind of like a Venn diagram situation.
Got it.
With a hole punched through the red circle and then 2 punctures to left and right. And that was like their calling card, basically. So like if you got a letter with that, it was from them. So it looks like it's written, basically they showed it. It looks basically, from my perspective, like someone wrote it with the opposite hand and upside down, like trying to make it look like you can't track their handwriting. Investigators thought the letter was written by someone who spoke German as their native language, which was my initial thought because, for example, when you write a letter in German, you put an exclamation point instead of a comma. Like you'd say, "Dear M," and you'd put exclamation point. And so that's, I think, like only a German thing. I've never seen that in the U.S. Also, they wrote so that all the money symbols were at the end of the numbers, which is another thing that's a European thing. And then it also says any ding public instead of anything. And it says the child is in gut care, G-U-T.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty big indicator, right?
Right. I was thinking. And I think even if those were kind of obvious, I think the exclamation point alone is something that you would probably just do out of habit. Like even... Like, I don't know that you would know that.
You wouldn't like think to change it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the facts that they had were as follows. Sometime between 8 and 10 p.m. on Tuesday, March 1st, 1932, one or more individuals came to the house with a homemade folding ladder. The kidnappers climbed the ladder and entered through the unlocked window, snatched Charlie from his crib, perhaps silencing him or rendering him unconscious because the whole family was awake but no one heard him cry. That must be terrifying, too, to know you were awake in your own house when somebody snatched your baby and you had no idea.
Yeah, I mean...
You're, like, playing cards in the
obviously,
other room.
what a violation. But
right.
Obviously, but then it's, like, on top of it, like, I was there.
Yeah, I was, like, feet away. Mm-hmm. Anyway. The kidnappers then used a car to get away. Obviously, word of the kidnapping spread like wildfire. Hundreds of people converged on the Lindbergh estate. Unfortunately, this destroyed a lot of evidence, which back then it was not as much of a priority on keeping crime scenes uncontaminated. So that was a big issue. At the time, actually, kidnapping was considered a state offense, not a federal crime.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, but when Herbert Hoover was notified, he gave the FBI authorization to investigate the case. So,
oh wow, okay.
Hoover was like, "This is a national emergency."
Sure.
In that voice, you know,
the classic Hoover voice.
Yeah, you heard it once.
Well, Herbert Hoovered it everywhere
Herbert
else.
did it once from here, and it was bad, and you're never going to hear it again. Okay. The Lindbergh family offered a $50,000 reward, which this is pretty wild. In today's money, it's a massive sum because the nation at the time was in the midst of the Great Depression. So $50,000 was a lot of money. Today it's $1.4 million. And so like thinking about that amount, $1.4 million.
Yeah, during the Great Depression.
Exactly. So that was like a massive reward.
People were like looking high and low for this kid.
Yes. Oh yeah. During this whole media circus, this is where it gets so weird. Like it took me a long time to parse these notes out in a way that I hope makes sense. Just let me know if something doesn't make sense because I think I can explain it, but the way I wrote it might be confusing.
Got it.
So a retired Bronx school teacher named John Condon, who idolized Lindbergh, he's like this kind of loud guy, and he was, for whatever reason, like obsessed with Charles Lindbergh. He puts an ad in the newspaper. He says, "I volunteer to be the intermediary between the Lindberghs and the kidnappers to handle the negotiations and deliver the ransom money." And for whatever reason, the Lindberghs and the kidnappers are like, "Okay, sure, yeah, you can be our intermediary."
Okay.
He's like, "I just idolized Charles Lindbergh. He's an American hero, and I want to get this baby back." Just so weird. I don't know.
Squeaky wheel, man.
It's just strange, I guess, right? So for some reason to this day, they're like, I don't know why the hell they agreed to that, but both parties were like, sure, this weirdo can do it. Unfortunately, Condon was the type to embellish. He like talked big game. There's a video of him being like, "And in this nation," like he just wanted to be kind of in the public eye, obviously, kind of exploiting this. It's hard to this day to like know what parts of his statements were true, which were embellished, which ones he may have completely fabricated. In his first description of the ransom meeting, he described meeting the kidnapper at Woodlawn Cemetery. He claimed the man had a heavy German accent and said to call him John. So this man became known as Cemetery John.
Okay.
He described him as being about 5'7", 165 pounds, and having a tall forehead and a large fleshy mass or abnormality on his left thumb. Okay. When Condon expressed doubt to Cemetery John that he actually had the baby, Cemetery John promised some proof. He said, "The kidnapper, we will soon return the baby's sleeping suit."
Okay.
That we took when we kidnapped the
LOL
baby.
sleeping suit.
I know. I mean, listen.
Like, not pajamas?
Oh, you don't have a sleeping suit?
I don't.
You have a sleeping tux, though.
With that. Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I have a sleeping ball gown. We're really classy motherfuckers.
I haven't seen it.
Well,
we've had a lot of sleepovers and you haven't just for the occasion. So
I feel
a little hurt.
I do feel a little bad that I've let you down on that one, but I'll save it for a special occasion. Okay, that sounded weird. Sorry. Anyway, on March 16th, Condon received in the mail a toddler's sleeping suit.
Was it the same?
When Charles Lindbergh identified the sleeping suit as being his son's, so it was, Condon placed a new ad in the paper. Quote, "Money is ready. No cops. No Secret Service. I come alone like last time." The ransom was packaged in a wooden box, custom made in the hope that later it could be identified. The money included...
Smart.
Yeah. And they actually did this like the whole way through. So the money included a number of gold certificates. And interestingly enough, those were worth something then, but they were actually about to be withdrawn from circulation. So they were hoping it would kind of draw attention to people who were still using them after they were withdrawn from circulation, like somebody still had a large number of these.
Sure.
And additionally, the bills were not marked, but all their serial numbers were recorded so that they could be...
Smart.
Yeah, tracked down if need be.
Wow, genius.
I know. So Condon dropped off the ransom in exchange for a note saying that Charlie was in the care of 2 innocent women and would not be harmed. They said he would get the baby back soon. So all the family could do at this point was wait and hope for the return of the baby. They didn't know who these 2 women were, but were like, okay, we gave them what they wanted.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I know it's your child, but I would also be like, I'm here to bring you the money. Like, where the fuck is this kid? Like,
we're giving you everything you wanted. We don't even want to know what your name is. Like, just...
I'd be like, why would you not bring a baby to that exchange when your job is to exchange the baby?
That's the idea, right? So they're like, oh, yeah, you'll get him back soon. Then 2 weeks later, on May 12th, 1932, a delivery truck driver named Orville Wilson pulled to the side of the road to relieve himself. As he walked into a grove of trees, he discovered the body of a toddler. That body was, unfortunately, the body of Charles Jr. Lindbergh. His body was taken to a morgue in Trenton, New Jersey to be examined. His skull was badly fractured and the body was badly decomposed. It looked as though someone had tried to hastily bury him in a shallow grave, and there were signs of animals having gotten at the body. The baby was identified as Charlie because he had these overlapping toes on one of his feet, which is just really sad. So his parents were able to identify his feet and a shirt he was wearing that was homemade, that somebody in his family had made for him. So it was determined Charlie had died from a blow to the head, and from the state of his body, it appeared he had died the night of the kidnapping, so he hadn't been alive this whole time.
Wow.
So they killed him right away.
They gave him they just wanted the money and never plan on ever giving it
back. Which
actually
this guy, John Douglas, was saying too, is that the profiler, he's like, it doesn't make any sense that like you would prepare to care for a toddler for weeks. Like you need the right formula and you need to like buy the right clothes and diapers, and like no kidnapped murderer guy wants to like care for a baby for several weeks. So he's like, it only makes sense that they would have just offed the baby and then just waited for the money and pretended the baby was alive, which is just so dark. But like he said, it's probably not that surprising. Okay, so obviously this kidnapping and then the death hit Americans hard. There was a sense that they compared it to like when JFK was shot, just like this shock of like, how could this happen? Especially just such a violent crime towards a baby. There was this sense that if this could happen to a hero like Charles Lindbergh, it could happen to anyone, like your own child, or, you know. Americans were heartbroken at this loss of their little baby prince. Lindbergh had Charlie cremated, and in June 1932, officials began to suspect that the crime was perpetrated by maybe someone the Lindberghs knew and trusted, or at least somebody that they knew and trusted had helped in the plan.
Like facilitated in it?
Yes. So, you see, the family typically spent weekdays at Ann's family estate in Englewood, New Jersey, because they were still building their own family house in Hopewell. So, but Charlie had a cold and Ann didn't want him to travel. So on this Tuesday in particular, they were staying at the house instead of going back to her family's estate. But this was the first Tuesday night they'd ever spent on this property. So like, who would have known, how did the kidnappers know that on this night they'd be at the house when every other week of the year they were at her estate in a different part of the state.
Got it.
So that was pretty odd. Suspicion first fell on one of the family's servants. Her name was Violet Sharp. She's a British woman who worked for the family. She had given conflicting alibis, and she seemed pretty nervous and suspicious, so they were kind of keeping an eye on her. On June 10th, 1932, she was scheduled to be questioned a third time. Right before the questioning, she ran up to her room and drank silver polish containing potassium cyanide and took her own life.
Oh, that's a tough way to go.
Yes. It was very sudden and very
painful and...
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, okay. Very gruesome. They were ultimately able to verify her alibi, though, so later they determined that maybe the threat of losing her job and the intensity of the questioning was what led her to suicide. It's kind of unclear. She'll come back later. But for now, they kind of put her aside. Next up was Condon, obviously the guy who was being this loud...
Like facilitating between them.
Yeah, and like getting himself involved, which is always kind of fishy.
Always a rough sign.
Like return to the scene of the crime and all that stuff. He was actually... Like, whether or not he was involved... Well, he was publicly assumed to have been involved. A lot of people were like, well, this weirdo obviously had something to do with it. Mm-hmm. And he was vilified by many because he was so outspoken and dramatic with his storytelling. Like, he would just go on TV and start, like, bellowing on this, like, dramatic way. And they're like, this is not your... You don't know these people. Like, stop. Right. His actions were also criticized as exploitative when he agreed to appear in a vaudeville act based on the kidnapping.
How fucked up is that?
How?
I mean, there were many people that were... I mean, like, that's fucked up, but also I'm thinking that there was, like, enough people to actually create a vaudeville act for this. So there's multiple people who...
Oh, yeah, but he was the one... He's like, I know the insider scoop, so, like, he got involved. You know what I mean?
It's ultra fucked up.
It's like, he was like, oh, I idolized Charles Lindbergh, and now I want to be in this, like, fucking comedy show or whatever about the death of his baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
Yikes.
Or, like, not a comedy show, but, like, a dramatization.
Yeah,
whatever.
we're the comedy show about fucking things.
Right, sorry, oops. No, but, like, he was, like, paid to act out.
It's super exploitive.
It's just fishy. Yeah, it's just really fishy.
Exploitative?
Anyway, exploitative.
Sure.
Exploitative.
No?
Hell if I know. Exploitative. Unfortunately, the case pretty quickly reached a standstill. Police turned their attention to tracking the ransom payments this time. So they're like, well, we had those bills. Let's see if we can figure out where those are going. Pamphlets were made featuring the serial numbers on the ransom bills, and 250,000 copies were distributed throughout New York City. About 2.5 years after the kidnapping, a guy pulled into a New York City gas station and paid for his gas with a $10 gold certificate. The teller was suspicious because of the gold certificate, thinking he might be a counterfeiter. He had no he was not thinking about Lindbergh. He was just like, this is a little fishy. Like, these aren't in circulation anymore. So just in case, he wrote down the car's license plate number on the edge of the certificate. Yeah, really smart. The license plate, he tells the police look into it. The license plate belongs to a sedan owned by Richard Hauptmann, a German immigrant living in the Bronx who had a criminal record in Germany. One of his crimes, he had used a ladder to climb into the second-story window of the mayor's house to steal some money and watches.
Okay.
So, interesting coincidence.
But like, wow, interesting several coincidences.
Mm-hmm. Another crime involved holding up two women pushing baby carriages at gunpoint and mugging them. So, just not looking good for you.
Knowing how to use ladders, and interacting with children in a bad way.
Not minding that there are babies involved.
Right.
Yep. To get to the U.S., he actually had escaped from jail, stowed away on a steamship, and he lied his way through immigration. So basically, they're like, okay, we got to look into this guy. He's clearly not squeaky clean. Hauptmann was charged with capital murder, which meant that a conviction would result in the death penalty. The trial was held at Hunterdon County Courthouse in Flemington and was soon dubbed the trial of the century.
Oh, wow.
There it is. Reporters swarmed the town. Every hotel room was booked. This was like massive news. Hauptmann declared his innocent throughout the trial, but the evidence against him was pretty strong. So I'm going to tell you, like, what the fuck they found.
Okay, cool.
It's, okay, well,
I'm ready.
You'll hear. First off, investigators discovered over $14,000 of the ransom money in his garage. They also found a sketch of a ladder similar to the one used at the Lindbergh home, and it's like a homemade ladder. Additionally, they found a sawed-off floorboard in the attic, and a wood expert, apparently that's a thing, determined it was a perfect match to the ladder found at the scene of the crime based on, like, the direction of the wood grain. And when you hold up the sawed-off, there's just, like, a sawed-off floorboard in the attic. And when you hold it up next to the ladder, it, like, matches, right? Like, okay. That's pretty bad. What's more, they also found Condon's telephone number and address written in pencil on the wall of his closet.
It doesn't sound good.
It sounds pretty bad. Yeah, it's not good. Look.
Also, it's been how many years?
2.5.
Okay. I thought for a second it was 10. I was like, he still has like all this shit lying around?
You gotta erase that. It's pencil. It's written in pencil.
It's literally pencil.
That's the point of an eraser.
Like, you wanted to get caught at that point.
At that point, you really weren't thinking this through. But so this is what he claimed. So Hauptmann had claimed the money had been left with him by his friend and former business partner Isidor Fisch, who had died in Germany in March of 1934. Hauptmann stated that Fisch had left this shoebox behind on a tall shelf, and Hauptmann hadn't realized it was full of money until much later.
Okay.
And when he discovered it, he's like, well, Fisch owed me a shit ton of money, so I just kept it. Like, I didn't think of reporting it. He also claimed Condon's address was written on the closet wall after he became interested in the case after reading about it in the paper.
Okay.
But then they were like, what about the phone number? That wasn't in the paper. And he was like, I can't give you any explanation about the telephone number.
He was just like, I don't know.
His lawyer's like, well, shit, we should have planned for that question, I guess. As for the hand-drawn sketch of the latter, he claimed the notebook of sketches were created by a child who had drawn in the notebook before. Whatever that means. Whatever that means. His wife, Anna, defended her husband on the stand, but under cross-examination, she admitted that despite having hung her apron on a hook above the top shelf every single day, she did not remember ever seeing a shoebox there where he said he had left it for a long time. So she was like, well, can't explain that one. I never saw a shoebox. Additionally, despite Hauptmann's accusations that Fisch had been involved in the murder, it was proven that he actually couldn't have been at the scene of the crime because he was dying of tuberculosis in Germany.
Huh.
He had no money to pay for his medical bills, and his landlady testified that he could barely afford his $3.50 per week room, so it wouldn't make sense that he had stolen tens of thousands of dollars and then left it behind and died penniless in Germany. Right. It was just like, why would he have left all of this behind?
Right.
The trial took 6 weeks, and Hauptmann proclaimed his innocence throughout, but on February 13th, 1935, the jury handed down the verdict, guilty as charged, with a sentence of death.
Gotcha.
While waiting in jail, prosecutors offered to save his life in exchange for life in prison if he gave up his accomplices, but he didn't budge, continuing to proclaim his innocence. Hauptmann was executed by electric chair, but it wouldn't be the first time someone on death row has been executed.
Sure.
I don't know if you're following Rodney Reed, and by the time this comes out, I don't know what has happened in that scenario.
Yikes.
But that's just
Fingers crossed.
One very good example.
Yes.
So, to her credit, Hauptmann's wife, Anna, continued to fight to clear her husband's name till her dying day in 1994 at the age of 95. So she spent her whole life trying to clear her husband's name.
Wow.
Because he refused to save his own life in exchange for admitting to the crime, people started to wonder whether he was as guilty as he'd been made out to be. Some reporters and independent investigators began to question the way the investigation was handled and the fairness of the trial, as well as potential witness tampering and even maybe the planting of evidence. Considering this was one of the biggest cases of the century, it's no surprise that like all these individual investigators, like armchair detectives, developed their own theories as to what happened. Some were a lot more controversial than others. We'll get to that shortly. So this brings us back to Nova. We're back to Nova, don't worry. I know you missed it. So John Douglas. Douglas is convinced, to be clear, Douglas does think Hauptmann is guilty.
Okay.
But he does not think he acted alone. So his first focus is the ransom money. Looking back, Hauptmann was in possession of approximately 1/3 of the ransom money. So that's kind of odd. If he had acted alone, it would be weird that he had like perfectly the amount of 1/3 of the money in his garage.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
But is there no way that in those 2.5 years he could have spent 2/3 of it?
Well, it would be like the equivalent of like $1 million because it was like 1.5 million total. So like there was no
and he didn't
proof
have anything
that he had any luxurious.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like he lived kind of on the DL, I think.
Gotcha.
That is a good point. Yeah, but he would have had to spend like
I promise I could find a way to spend $1 million.
No, me too. But I think they would have found out what it was.
Right.
You know,
right.
In the trial, like there was no proof that he had spent it on anything. So that's the weird part. Yeah, but it would obviously make more sense if he had split the money 3 ways. Going off that, Douglas explains he has seen many cases like this throughout his career. How sad is that, I guess? But
right.
He says typically in a case like this, offenders need multiple people to psychologically build each other up and feed off of each other to perpetrate such an intense crime. It would be too risky to do alone. For example, you need someone to hold the ladder, and someone has to do surveillance. There's just a lot of risk involved for one person to act alone and pull this off. But then, so then why was no one else ever indicted or even looked at? So there's this guy that they interviewed named Mark Falzini, and he works as a museum archivist at the New Jersey State Police Museum. And he believes it's because the trial was so intense, this was such a high-profile case, Lindbergh was arguably the most famous man in America, and after 2.5 years, the pressure to close the case was so enormous, they just wanted to point the finger, say he did it, execute him, done, case closed, rather than drag it on and try to figure out if anyone else was involved. They're like, we got our guy, one and done. So that's what he believes. And then Douglas asks this guy, Falzini, the archivist, did a man named John Knoll ever come up in connection with the case? And Falzini's like, no, that name never came up. Why? And Douglas is like, well, that's a lead I want to explore.
Okay, how did he even get this name?
Me too. I shall tell you. This is wild. So there's this man, one of these, like I was telling you, individual investigators, armchair detectives, whatever you want to call them. His name is Bob Zorn. He reached out to John Douglas and said, hey, I have this lead. I want you to tell me if this makes any sense. He says, my dad, Gene Zorn, read an article about the Lindbergh kidnapping as an adult, and it triggered this childhood memory that he had suppressed. And he thinks that he knows what happened.
Oh.
So Bob explains that when his dad, Gene, was 15, in the summer of 1931, he lived in a German neighborhood in the South Bronx and had a neighbor named John Knoll, a German immigrant and deli clerk who encouraged Gene to take up stamp collecting.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad so far.
I know. It comes up later. So the two became close, and one day in the summer of 1931, John invited Gene to the fair. At the fair, they met up with John Knoll's younger brother, Walter, as well as a mysterious third German man whom they called Bruno. Gene kind of hung around the fair while the three men were talking. John and Bruno began to discuss a place called Englewood, and Gene didn't think much of it at the time. Fast forward to December of 1963. His dad, Gene, is a 47-year-old bank economist living in Dallas, minding his own business. He reaches for a magazine at the barbershop when he finds an article about the Lindbergh kidnapping decades before. So his blood runs cold, he says, when certain words begin to jump out at him. First, he sees the name Bruno, which is what John the deli clerk called his German-speaking friend.
Right.
Turns out Bruno is Richard Hauptmann's real name, his first name.
Oh.
His name is Bruno Richard Hauptmann, and that wasn't a thing that was really publicized. So that's interesting. Then he sees Englewood, and he's like, that's so weird. They were talking about Englewood, too. Turns out Englewood is the New Jersey town where the Lindberghs spent most of their week, where Anne's family had their estate,
right,
and where they were supposed to be that Tuesday,
right,
when they were actually at their other home. The article goes on to describe the theory that Hauptmann was guilty, like John Douglas thinks, but that he had worked with accomplices, one of whom they believed went by the name of John because that was the name given in the Bronx cemetery by Cemetery John, who said, call me John.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, guess what? Gene immediately put two and two together and was like, well, my childhood mentor, stamp collector, was named John Knoll. He's like, could John Knoll be Cemetery John? And they were discussing their plans or what had happened that day at the fair.
Goose cam.
Oh my gosh. It's just so bananas. After Gene's death, his son Bob took over the quest to link John to the crime. So he contacted John Douglas to be like, does this hold any weight at all? So could John Knoll be Cemetery John? Well, in photos of John Knoll, which they showed, he appears to be about 5'7", with a tall forehead and a large abnormality on his left thumb. Really, you can see it. It's very misshapen, very large.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty odd. Then there's this police sketch, and the similarities are almost chilling. They look hardcore goose cam when I saw this. They look almost identical, the sketch and the photograph. So it could have been John Knoll, but at the same time, any search through Hauptmann's network at the time never brought up that name. There never seemed to be a friend named that, unless they were just really good at hiding it, I guess.
But it sounds like it was probably him.
I mean, it could be.
I mean, I've set my sights on that.
Well, sure.
Personally.
So, I mean, it could be. There was no John Knoll ever associated, but it could have been. Additionally, while it is a weird coincidence that Knoll called his compatriot Bruno, Richard Hauptmann actually never went by the name, even though that was his real name. Even back in Germany, there's a school book from first grade, and he only ever wrote Richard not Bruno. So it's possible, like, maybe he was using that as, like, a
alias,
maybe. It's not a very good alias. But
that's my legal name.
Yeah, just the one that's, like, on all the paperwork, you know?
Right.
But it also throws kind of a wrench into the theory because it's like his buddies wouldn't be calling him Bruno, but who's to say? So, and obviously John is a very common name too, so it's just hard to know whether it's all very circumstantial. So Douglas is like, well, let's put that theory on hold for now. There's a much more controversial theory. There's this man named Lloyd Gardner. He's a historian at Rutgers who authored a controversial book called The Lindbergh Kidnapping, which proposes the theory that Charles Lindbergh himself was involved in coordinating his own son's kidnapping.
What?
So evidence pointing to this theory includes the fact that Lindbergh was extremely controlling of the investigation, using his influence to steer police, even keeping the ransom notes a secret. Like, he was just very intense about, but at the same time, you're like, well, your child's missing. Of course, you're going to be controlling and
right.
Like,
I mean, there's no way I wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like, why on earth would he have done something so horrific to his own child? Well, Gardner explains that Lindbergh was actually very involved in the eugenics movement, aka
really?
Yes, and that part, unfortunately, is true.
That I did not know.
Yeah, he's part of the eugenics movement, or he was part of the eugenics movement, aka the selective breeding of the smartest and strongest, quote-unquote, people to create a superior race, quote-unquote, and sterilizing those who are not physically and or mentally up to what they consider to be par.
I see.
Yes, and there were rumors that Charlie had physical limitations.
Oh.
Including doctor's notes that indicated that his fontanelle, or like the soft spot, had not closed up. Which is supposed to close by age 1 or 2 months, but by 20 months had still not fully fused. So that was an indication that maybe something wasn't totally right. Additionally, he struggled to stand, and he was diagnosed with what appeared to be a mild form of rickets, which is caused by a vitamin D deficiency. So, like, that maybe goes hand in hand. Like, maybe he just wasn't living up to standards that his father had.
He's definitely not the healthiest.
Right. But even mild rickets, like, it doesn't impair you that much.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom had rickets as a kid. I don't know. So Gardner does not believe Lindbergh wanted his son killed, to be clear. So Gardner says he believes the plan was to get him out of the house and into an institution, which, to be fair, was not unusual at the time for families to put maybe they're like the ones they were less proud of, like, away. Send them away, you know. He believes maybe...
Or have something eat their eyes out.
Or there's some eggs out in the back, right?
If you're not first, you're last.
That's true. Yeah, he believes Lindbergh told the kidnappers they would be in town that evening and where the window was and everything. And he believes the kidnapping was botched, that maybe Charlie had been dropped from the window, that maybe he was killed intentionally by the kidnappers who had kind of taken over the plan. But he doesn't believe that Lindbergh wanted him killed. He believes he maybe wanted him just taken away.
So much better, at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, at least
dead.
he would survive, right. After the kidnapping and death of Charlie, Lindbergh and Annie moved to Germany for 3 years, and this is where he embraces the ideals of the Nazi Party, and they embrace him back. So, good. Yeah, not so much an American hero anymore.
No.
By the 1950s, he's back in Germany, and this is where shit just gets wild. Like, I had no idea about... I feel like maybe I read about it once, but I didn't connect it. So he assumes an identity called Caro Kent in 1958 and secretly fathers 7 children with 3 different German women. He swore the families to secrecy and died in 1974, hoping his double life would remain hidden. But in 2003, some of his German children revealed the truth after DNA testing proved they were Lindbergh's children.
What?
I know. So
none of this I knew.
I know. He fathered all these children in Germany and tried to keep them a secret. And Gardner believes this kind of goes hand in hand with this experimenting of eugenics and trying to, like, spread your seed. That's a big part of it. And
I see.
Thinking you're a perfect specimen and you need to spread to, you know, populate the earth with your vomitous race. It's horrible. Oh my God. So anyway, while the eugenics stuff is factually accurate, like, it's all true, Douglas still doesn't believe, like, Lindbergh murdered his own son. He's just like, I don't think that adds up.
Something must have happened.
He just doesn't think he was involved. So he says he's, you know, profiling Lindbergh. He believes the man was too controlling to give up a plan to some kidnappers. Like, he's like, I don't think he would have trusted some outsiders to, like, do this. He was too controlling for that. to depend on other people to get it done.
Sure.
He needed control in every aspect of his life, which is why he took such a hold on this investigation. But then who supplied this information that the family would be in their part-time home on a Tuesday evening?
The wife?
Well, remember, not the wife, but Violet Sharp, the servant who took her own life with the silver polish.
Right.
So Douglas believes she was the one who revealed the information, but he doesn't think it was necessarily malicious. He believes she may have inadvertently handed out the info when someone called asking questions like, oh, where are they? Oh, they're not here tonight. They're at the other home.
Gotcha.
And then the guilt of, not knowing this person had nefarious plans, and then maybe the guilt drove her to take her own life.
Sure,
because she just thought, like, I was involved and she couldn't handle it. Which, I mean, I can't imagine that guilt, too, of, like, if they find out you're the one that told them.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine it either.
Yeah. So then, obviously, back to Cemetery John. Who's Cemetery John? Well, Douglas believes Bob Zorn could be right that John Knoll is Cemetery John after all, because when you look at Knoll's behavior after the murder, there's some red flags. So first off, he seems to have suddenly come into a large amount of money after the crime. Bob explains that he became very generous to Bob's father, Gene, in terms of his stamp collection. He started giving him extremely valuable stamps to add, which, like, initially he's like, where are you getting these, like, very expensive stamps? What's more, 3 weeks before Hauptmann goes on trial, so before the German Hauptmann guy goes on trial, what's his name? Cemetery John Knoll, he and his wife just peace out of the United States. Oh. They're like, bye. They sail round trip to Hamburg on a $700 first class ticket each. $700 each, which is, today is the equivalent of, which I don't know what the equivalent is, but at the time it was the equivalent of 6 years of his rent.
Holy shit.
6 years of rent, and he and his wife each bought first class tickets.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So obviously that's like, okay, well...
I don't even know how to figure out 6 years of my rent. I know I can. I'm trying to do it on the spot, and it's so much money.
Oh my God. So much money. For one trip, right? And so then it's actually interesting because then Knoll and his wife didn't return to the U.S. until the day Hauptmann was convicted and sentenced to death. And that day he's like, okay, I'm coming back now.
How convenient. I feel safe again.
Yeah, right. Okay, all eyes are off me. So Douglas knows there's not enough evidence to fully convict Knoll, especially now, but he believes he should at least remain a primary suspect. And so while the Lindbergh tragedy led to heartbreak in the U.S., it also led to the Lindbergh Law, which was passed by Congress the day after the kidnapping, before they even knew the baby had died. And it officially made kidnapping a federal crime, which it remains to this day. So
gotcha.
At least thanks Herbert Hoover for that.
Yes.
FBI profiler John Douglas says he's still haunted by the ones that got away in this case. He believes that Hauptmann did not act alone. He's confident that Hauptmann was guilty, but he also believes that at least one person, whether it was John Knoll or someone else, got away with murder.
Wow.
And that's the story of the Lindbergh kidnapping.
Whew.
Sorry, I feel like I rushed through that, but...
No, that was...
It was a long one, but...
we both had long ones. So we hope that you wanted to listen to something long on your holidays.
I mean, nobody's forcing you. I hope that, like, you're not mad and just still listening to this.
Maybe you like listening in chunks. I'm glad we gave you lots of chunks.
It's actually not that long. We're at 2 hours, which, like...
Oh, okay. I feel like we've been here for a million bajillion years. But no, that was a great story.
Thank you. Yeah.
Terrible.
It's terrible, right? But I was really interested because I thought the baby survived. Clearly, I was like so wrong that it wasn't even funny. Like I was just on the completely other side. So thank you, Nova, for correcting that for me. And thank you all for listening.
Yeah. Thank you. We hope you're all having a happy turkey day.
Yes, that's right. Happy Thanksgiving. And if you... want to join our Patreon, we're going to give you some tickets right after Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, don't forget.
Cyber Monday coming up real quick.
Cyber Monday. Yeah. So like immediately.
December 2nd. Get ready for that. So join Patreon and we will send that code out to you if you join by December 2nd. On the 4th is the regular pre-sale, so you can follow our social media. And on the 6th is everybody else who wants a ticket. Go for it. And we're going to obviously be releasing cities and dates soon, so that's exciting
and
too.
Everything at the same time. So if for some reason, if the city is not on the list, then that doesn't mean we're not going to go there in the future, but not for this tour.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not adding any more dates because it was just too much last time to do them all individually. We want to make sure you guys know ahead of time where we're going to be. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening. We can't wait to see you in 2020, and I mean, we'll be back here next week, so you'll see us again. But
yes.
Unfortunately, we'll be back in your ears after Thanksgiving.
Woohoo!
And many Thanksgivings after that.
And
that's
why
we
eat turkey.
Yay! I was hoping you'd say that.
And that's why we gobble.
Unless you're a vegetarian, then eat some stuffing with me.
Okay, bye.